Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Spurling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions. I appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Donate to the Super Chat. Donate to the PayPal. Donate to the Cash App. It's your contributions and your donations that'll cause for this platform to grow. Let our voice be the preeminent voice in Black America. Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Dennis Spurling, and I'm back, and I want to just welcome everybody back to the live stream here. And a big shout out to everybody who is already Steel Curtain. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is going to be a hot one. But let me just be frank with you guys. As a Black man, it's really... I'm not the audience, and you guys already read the title. We're going to do the reaction video to the young lady who came on my show. I don't want any disrespect to the young lady. You know, people do things for different reasons. We really don't know what her identity is, but we're referring to the young lady who called herself Savage Divester. Okay, now whatever you think about that. As Black American men, we should deal with it, but we really need to understand it's so many different angles. But here's what I want you to understand. We're not fully equipped. We're not the audience that she was looking to entertain. We're not the audience that this whole divestment movement is trying to impress, you know? And so it's important that we get the perspective of the audience that she's looking for. Now, here's the thing. I always tell you guys that, hey, this is a Black male driven page, but this page is for all men. And what I pointed out to you guys when I was speaking with the young lady the other day is that, to me, it looked like what the true red pill creators would consider a chameleon. Now, let me be honest with you. You guys know that I've had Sandman MG2OW here. Shout out to Sandman. I've invited him to come back to help me digest this. Anybody who's been in the so-called red pill community should know Sandman. If you don't know who Sandman is, then you know you're just you shouldn't even, you don't know what the manosphere is about. Now, I don't necessarily fit within the talking points of the manosphere. I'm just a person trying to express my point of view and try to help young men guide along. And oftentimes what I find is, or what you will find is, that this message is universal. So what I see in this young woman, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this up now, and this is just the main point that I had. Shout out to Steel Curtain. Thank you so much. She said that poor misguided young lady has come up to another creator's live stream several times. Many of us are familiar with the venom she spews and others. Let's just take a look at this, you know, and I know you guys don't want to relive this, but it's important. For those of you guys who don't know, and hit the #1 button. Let's get this chat room rolling. Let me know if you can hear it. Here she is. Let me be honest with you. It looks like just to me, looks like you running game. You trying too hard. You trying to make this white dude think you all the way down with him. You got the Confederate flag on. You denounce Black Lives Matter. It's like you trying to make look. I'm with you, but women are chameleons.
No, he thought this was. He's like, why did you get that flag? He said, you're trying to start trolling, and then he started laughing.
Women, your female nature tells you that I'm going to be whoever I need to be to get this man I want. And so I'm just gonna put this out there. You may be doing what you have to do to try to convince this white man to let his guard down so you can trap him.
No, absolutely not. I
don't know the black women is walking around with Confederate flags on. You're performing for him. Listen to me. I get it. I get the game. I learned Spanish. I learned Spanish so I can bang all the fine Colombian women I want. And it's like, oh, he's embraced our culture. We like him. And they just drop their draws. You know, now I'm happily in a relationship. It worked out.
But your wife is beautiful. She's Latina, right?
She's running the same game. She's black, Latina, but you're running the same game. You getting these white boys to drop their guard and say, I'm just like you. I don't even like those black guys. Even though my dad was black, my mom was black, my granddaddy was black, even though I like him because he beat up my grandma. But the bottom line is you're running game on these white boys. All this whole divested community, and I salute you. All right, so somebody says there's an echo in here. Let me fix that echo real.
I just get sick of them talking about all divesters are old and fat.
My love, you're doing the same thing Cleopatra did. She's rolling herself up in that rug and she's going to be unrolled in front of me. Look at how spectacular I am. That white woman ain't treating you right. Come get me. I'm a black ebony goddess queen. No. Yeah, that really happened. You know, as they say, the internet is undefeated. Well, as you guys can imagine, I got a huge reaction from so many different people. At this point, the video came out on Thursday. It has like 20,000 views. To this date, it's like the second largest video, highest view video that I have. You know, and here's the thing, man. I'm disturbed by it, but maybe for different reasons than you are. The crazy thing is, it wasn't just me that was disturbed by it. It was actually men of all ethnicities who hit me up, people from different places. And one young man, very thoughtful young man who knows me from Instagram. His name is Andrew Dahlgren. And he wrote a very thoughtful message on my page, not my page. And I wanted to just share it with you. You know, it says, I just saw your video with the woman wearing a Confederate Army mask. I thought you made very good points. As a white man, as beautiful as she probably is physically, I couldn't date someone who shows such disdain for a specific group, be it black men or white men, or any group. I thought you brought up valid points and clearly didn't have a problem with her making her choices. Her own choices. I agree. If a white woman wants to be with a black man, I have no issue until she starts talking down to white men. Then I have a problem. I can understand why black men felt some kind of way about her. Very good interview by you, sir. You clearly talked to her like a big brother, and I wanted to educate the woman, always dropping knowledge. Sir, best wishes. Of course, I'm touched by this. And this is the type of thoughtful person that I think can speak some sense into these women who call themselves divesters. They don't want to hear it from black men. And the truth is, our audience, the audience that they're pitching this performance to, is not black men. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring Andrew in. Welcome, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking your time to speak to me. You've seen the entire 30-minute video with this young lady speaking. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And, you know, it's shocking. And that wasn't even the subject that I was on that night. She just came on and she basically just hog-tied the live broadcast. But give us your first impression of it when you saw it.
Well, the Confederate flag mask was my initial reaction. I'm like, wow, that was interesting to see a black woman wearing something like that. And so that was pretty shocking at first. And then just her repeated, like, casual hatred toward black men, just
Right.
nothing good to say about anything. Like, you were very, like, calm and relaxed about the whole thing. And she just very just like using words I never heard before, like Blackistan things, and I didn't even know what divester means as far as what she was talking about.
Right.
And it was just a continuous, repeated, just hateful message she was trying to spew. And it was, I, I, I personally, like I was telling you, I could never date someone like that. Like, she was probably very physically attractive. I think she said she was a fitness model at one point, but like I have black friends. Like, imagine me bringing her around to them. What would I'm likely to get my butt kicked, you know? So
Right.
I thought it was a very, very distasteful interview, and I thought you handled it very well, sir.
Well, yeah, I try to let people air their opinions. I want to hear it, because oftentimes people fall for the talking points, and then they get outraged by the talking points, and then it ends up in a shouting match, and you never really understand who you're dealing with. Now, what the first thing you mentioned was that when you saw the Confederate flag. Now, this is going to sound like a silly question, but knowing the history of the Confederate flag, I mean, let's not talk about what it used to stand for. Let's talk about what we know it stands for today, what it means today. You saying that, and here's the thing. What you got to understand, Andrew is a white man. He is not somebody trying to be pretending to be black. I believe you have your wife or fiance, girlfriend is white. You have white children. You're a white guy. You're not trying to be anything or another. And I don't know what your dating history is, but just seeing a black American woman with a Confederate flag mask, how does that hit you? Like, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's probably abnormal, right? Everybody would think that, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, honestly, it kind of did you. I'm sure you saw the movie Get Out.
I didn't see it, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was this move. There's a part in there. There's a certain character, and he was like clearly brainwashed in it. And there was a part in there, like someone like flashed a camera, and he kind of came out of his trance there for a minute. I don't know if we just need to do that to her to get her out of this. It seems like almost seems like brainwashed almost to me.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, if there's a lot of guys here on YouTube, they consider themselves red pill, but they haven't actually studied the philosophy from the guys who invented it, whether it's Barbarossa, and I don't know how familiar you are with the internet and the so-called manosphere and whatnot, but there's Barbarossa, there's Turd Flake, TFM, there's Sandman. These are the guys that I start, Angry, MGTOW. These are the guys that I start listening to early on. And one of the concepts that I picked up very early on, like back in 2014, 2013, was a concept by Sandman. And I don't know how familiar you are with, as I said, the original manosphere, but they were actually teaching terms, Sandman, red pill, blue pill, purple pill, these sort of things. And they actually gave you definitions. She appears to me to be a female chameleon. She's the girl that says, hey, I like watching football too. Let's go hang out. She's gonna be whatever it is you need her to be, so she can get you. Have you ever you experienced that before, man to man, right? I mean, just tell us your experience, and then use that experience and equate that with what you saw.
Well, as far as her being a chameleon, yeah, I could totally see that. I don't know why she had to go that way. Like, if she wants to get with white guys, the Confederate flag's not the best way to go about it.
Right.
I would never be with someone who would wear something like that. But I mean, yeah, people like that. It's like, if she wanted to get with someone, it's like if her guy she wanted to get with was an atheist, she'd be an atheist. If he was a Catholic, she'd be a Catholic type thing.
Let me tell you a secret. Black women think that white guys or white men don't have street game or game. Like, you can't figure this out. Like, can you please just honestly set them straight on that? Go ahead.
Well, absolutely. Like, you're clearly like trying to tell us what we want to hear in that sort of sense, and we're just be yourself, like. And I just got to go back. There was just I don't know what her deal was, just like continuously going back to black men. Like, I don't know if she had bad experiences, but you can't judge a whole group based on, actions of a few. I don't know if it was that, or if she like was actually like brainwashed by some white guys or something. I don't know what it is, but it was just a very hateful speech. And yeah, like going back to what you were saying about the chameleon, that happens, there's people out there who are running game,
Right.
You just gotta be ahead of that.
What you mentioned in your message that you sent to me? I couldn't date someone who shows such disdain for a specific group, black men, white men, or any group. Have you ever dealt with a woman who, or just go? Please explain what you meant by that, and go into any detail you want to.
Well, I've gone on dates with some black women, and we don't really talk about black men. It's not that we don't. We talk about like entertainers or like the Will and Jada thing that happened. We would talk about something like that. But I've never dated anyone who like just had like repeatedly just found ways to bring the conversation back to just hating on black men.
Right.
That was just so. And if same thing, if it was like a Hispanic woman talking on Hispanic men, it could be anything. It doesn't. It was just very uncomfortable. And if I'm going to date you, I'm going to bring around my friends. I'm not bringing something like that around my friends. No way. Right. Or my family or anything.
Right. And I don't think they realize just how despicable and distasteful they sound. They're saying it thinking nobody is going to ever. They're doing it to just try to agitate black men. But I don't fall for that because I recognize it for what it is, rhetoric. It's just rhetoric. You're just trying to get me riled up, and I'm not going to respond to that. But here's the other thing, and when I first got my divorce back in 2010, I dated a young white woman and it was cool. The thing that turned me off the most was she always was like, well, I don't date white guys. I don't like white guys. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, but you're white and I see you're trying to cater to my ego and make me feel good. But that means you don't like your dad. So you're telling me you don't like your dad, the man that raised you, the man that put food in your mouth, food on your table, clothes on your back. And now you're here saying, I don't like all of this group. I don't. How does that hit you when women say that? I don't like this group, no matter what. I don't like any of this group, and it's just what are your thoughts on that, especially coming from a woman of that group?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's again, it's like you can't judge the actions of a few and blame everybody for that just because they look like them. That's terrible. Right. Like we're all individuals. It could be black men, white men, and it's like we're not a monolith. There's different people. There's good people and bad people in each one. And it's like, again, it's not just black women. I'm sure, like you said, I'm sure there's white women who do this stuff too. Yeah. And it's terrible. Like what is wrong with you? It's not. I don't think they have a very good future coming for them. Things like that. It typically doesn't end well for people like that. I don't think.
And and the thing is, you mentioned something in your post also, and a lot of black dudes, they are wishful thinking, oh man, white men don't want you. You're not that cute. I'm like, there are beautiful black women out there. White men, Asian men, they're going to be with whatever woman they find attractive. It's not that black women aren't attractive. They are attractive. And other men will date them. I told them, the stereotypes and the law would prohibit that, 50 years ago. But now the stigmas are lifting and people are dating who they want to date. And I don't have a problem with people dating who they want to date, whoever. Like I told the young lady, date a Martian if you want to. You're not bothering me, but my thing is, like, you don't have to down your group. I think I hear you speaking. You don't have to down your own group just because you want to date out. Do you think maybe they feel guilty about it and they have to talk bad about their previous group so that they feel justified in dating somebody from another ethnicity, culture, or race? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like you said, yeah, just because, we can all have our preferences, and, if, something bad happened, then, it's like, I want to try and date outside my race for a little bit. And that's okay. That's like pretty normal nowadays. But, no, it's just, I don't know where she gets this stuff from. I don't know anyone like that personally. And if I did, they wouldn't be in my life very long. So I've never really tried to like dissect the psychology of it, but I would just be speaking from ignorance, frankly, sir. So I don't really have an answer to that.
That's fine. What would be your advice to this? Because there's a whole online community, and I really don't know how big it is. I think they do a lot for attention purposes. I think they, just to get likes and views and whatnot. But what would be your advice to a young woman, a young black woman who's taking this rhetoric from these people online, who's taking this rhetoric seriously, what would be your advice to them coming from this perspective of a white American man who is looking at this anew and saying, like, okay, I'm assessing this and this is my advice to you?
I would say spend more time with, like, majority of them are good. Majority of black men are good. Majority of white men are good. I'd say you just haven't been around enough of them then, or like move, go to a different spot. Like I don't really have an interest in saving someone like that, frankly. I think they are where they are. But if they asked my advice, I would bring them around, someone else if they like, and I wouldn't be like, hey, careful. I'm just trying to help this girl, frankly. I would tell you, it's like, I'm not dating this. I don't co-sign her message, but
Right.
and like I'm trying to introduce her to some really good other people. It's like, look, they're not bad. You maybe had bad experiences with some people, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but like, please don't. It's not like that. What you're saying is not true.
What does what does it say about a woman who she's a black woman or whatever, Hispanic, white, and she says, I don't like black men, or I don't like men from my own ethnicity? How does that, as a man, could you ever trust a woman like that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You could throw out a whole race of people. I mean, it's bad enough. Like frankly, I've heard some white people say some racist things, and it's like you get rid of a whole group just because of something you heard, or maybe it's not like that, and it's very distasteful. It's like it's not true. Like they're how like ingrained in your own shell do you have to be to like there's people of all races everywhere. Like what, you've only had bad experience? I don't think it's really based on just experience. I think she's picked up some things, somewhere else as well too. So.
That young lady says she's only dated 6 guys. Seriously, she's only had any relationship with 6 guys, and one of them is white. She's dating him. What advice would you give her boyfriend who's white, who's a white guy?
What's wrong with you? Like how can you handle it? Like what does it say about you? That you like you in some way have to co-sign this stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And like I heard her say, like if she came in like in wearing the mask too, and he was like almost laughing, it's like, that's not funny. Like you're just trying to cause. It's like, no, I'd say get that off. What is wrong with you?
And here's something, and I don't know your particular ethnicity, but I have Jewish comrades and friends, and when they see people with Confederate flags on, whether it's white dudes riding down the street with a Confederate, that's not something appealing to them, because right next to that is a reminder, of the 1940s and the atrocities that they had to suffer. So a lot of these Black American women who are embracing this whole divester movement, they don't realize that there are a lot of white people. If you're Polish, if you're Irish, if you're Jewish, you suffered a certain degree, or Italian, you suffered a certain degree of bigotry and racism when your ancestors came into this country. Those signs used to say no Irish, no dogs, no N-words. They said no Jews, no dogs, no N-words. That's what those signs said. Somehow we got it boiled down to, no blacks, no colored, but colored didn't necessarily mean black alone. So what advice, I mean, I don't know what is your, you don't have to, but what is your advice to them? I don't think they understand that even amongst the so-called white community, because everybody wasn't white when they first got here. Even in Europe, you're Italian, you're from Spain, you're Irish. The Irish caught hell. The Irish caught hell in New York. They got the Italians caught hell in New York. And I don't think people get that part about European history. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, everything you're saying is true. I can't deny history. We have, in a lot of ways, we have a pretty ugly history here, and it's not that long ago. There's people still alive who like went through that stuff too. So, I can't deny history. Yeah, everything you're saying is true. The Irish, the Italians too. It wasn't just black people. Like Irish and Italians weren't even always called white. So
right. So you bring a woman in a black woman in with a history of wearing a Confederate flag, and you're Jewish. You bring her to your family, or you bring her to your Italian, get together, or something like that. That's probably not going to go over too well, especially in a Jewish household. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely wouldn't go over well. They would be like, okay, she has to leave, or both of you have to leave, because that's not staying here. There's no place for that here. So,
right.
Absolutely.
And well, thank you so much. I'm not going to hold you up too long, Andrew. I really appreciate your perspective. Please, if you will, because see, again, that performance and what these ladies, these lovely ladies are doing, these so-called divesters, that performance is for you guys. That's for white guys. So I tell you what, we'll trade you. Let me see.
Rejected.
Come on, man. Let's do a trade here. We'll trade you our divester group for Miss Kentucky.
No. Rejected. Absolutely not.
Oh, man. Okay, well, man, thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and stay around if you want to. I know you have other things to do, but I really appreciate this perspective, and I hope everybody in the audience, especially you so-called divestors, and you, I want you to. This is not me saying this. Okay, this is your target audience, Andrew. Andrew is saying, not happening. So if you're putting this performance on for him, and this is the man that you want to be with, the type of man, and he's dated out. And so listen what this man is saying. You don't have to put this performance on and down one race or the other just because you want to make this guy feel comfortable. He has as much game as most of y'all. He recognizes a chameleon or BS when it's coming. You know, you just started liking football because I like football. You like baseball because I like baseball. You're drinking Heineken because I'm drinking Heineken. You're a chameleon. You're trying to, I mean, it's so obvious to me, man. She's trying to get you to lower your guards. I'm not like the rest of them. What would you, and let's just flip the script because I want to get the most out of this I can. What would you say to these young white women who are dating black dudes and talking bad about white men? What's your advice to them? I want you to talk to white women right now. I want them to hear what you have to say. How does that make you feel? What do you think about? And this is specifically for white women from a white male who's, I mean, go ahead, man, because you mentioned it in your post. What do you talk to white women who do the same thing, who down white men because now they decided to jump the fence and date black men, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. Go ahead, speak freely.
Well, absolutely. It would be the same message I think you probably had for her. I mean, it would be like you talk down to what I'm like, what we're all bad. It's like there's no good guys. It's like, okay, well, like you said, that's your father, that's your brother.
Right.
You know, and like, let's say you have a son. Well, he's going to be half white as well too. Well, you don't like him? Is he bad?
Right.
How far does this go?
Right.
And I don't. Where did this come from? And I mean, to be honest with you, sir, I don't really have much interest in talking to people like that. I'm more likely to just like, okay, you go your way, I'll go my way. Frankly, I'm not really here to change anyone's mind who gets like that, you know. Frankly, so
yeah, I appreciate that. And the crazy thing is, what this young woman missed is that even if you have children, your children are not going to be white. They're going to be black. And whether you consider them mixed or whatever, we've had plenty of mixed people. Barack Obama, who else? Frederick Douglass, Haley Berry. They're all considered black. And so at some point, your children are going to say, well, look, I'm not accepted fully in the white community, maybe by my family, you know, but I'm not accepted. So I have to go and, you know, live life as a black person. And if you have a mother that has harbored all that hate towards black people, black men, because she said some really mean, nasty things about black women. She called them, I don't even want to repeat the word, but it starts with M and rhymes with panty. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah, it's a long, I don't even want to talk about it, but it's very derogatory to direct that towards black women, you know, and it's just unfortunate. And it just, you recognize people who are filled with hate. But the thing is, your children are going to have to live with that legacy. That's why we have to be careful as adults, especially with the internet. This stuff never goes away. Mommy, was that you on the internet with a Confederate flag on your face back in 2022 talking to that lawyer? You can't, this stuff never goes away. And her children are going to see that. Look at what happened recently to Kim Kardashian. That was 20 years ago. And her little 6-year-old son is, Mommy, you got a videotape doing naughty stuff, and that's not dad. So folks got to be careful, man. But thank you so much. I appreciate you, Andrew. Andrew, you're welcome back anytime. And again, as I said, this page is dedicated to black men so that we can have a voice. But the message that goes out is universal. And I appreciate you taking the time and having the courage to come on in here, and voice your honest opinion. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You have a great day. Enjoy your Saturday. I'm going to go ahead and let my guests in because I want them to hear. And if you want to come back, if you want to chime in, you hear something you want to talk about, you're welcome to come back. But thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you so much, sir. You have a great day. Thank you.
Right, you too. We'll take a quick break and we will be right back. And the link is going to be in the chat room, guys. Hit the number 1 button if you appreciate the authenticity of this conversation. If you appreciate what we're doing here. And hit the number and make sure you check in. We'll be right back, and the link is in the chat room. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions. I appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Donate to the Super Chat. Donate to the PayPal. Donate to the Cash App. It's your contributions and your donations that'll cause for this platform to grow. Let our voice be the voice, the preeminent voice in Black America. All right, we are back. Look, and see, here's the thing. I like honest. We have diversity here. Right? But it's not because of the color of your skin. It's intelligence and experience. We have diversity of political ideologies. But the main thing is you heard an honest assessment of, what Andrew thought. And I appreciate that because, see, I can't tell these lovely ladies that they look like idiots. I can't tell them that, people recognize that this is a charade. What did you heard what Andrew said? It's a whole, you're a chameleon. It's just like a chick who says, hey, I like football, knowing nothing about football, and she's doing it because she's trying to get some guy to lower her senses. I'm gonna have to have Andrew come back here. He's gonna be when we need that, how you got the black person in the classroom, I'm gonna use Andrew as the designated white person. But the Dennis Spurling's YouTube page. And what are your thoughts on that? Speak on behalf of all your people, right? But no, anyway, just jokes, man. But the thing is, man, it's not a good look, ladies, and that is going to be up there forever. I'm not taking it down, okay? But the link is in the chat room. I want you guys to come in. We'll look at a couple of more of these unfortunate statements by this young lady, and for those of you guys who didn't see this. Hot mess of an interview, which just fell in my lap. I'll go ahead and let it play, and I want to give you kind of like a breakdown of it. I wanted to get Andrew in and out because I didn't want to hold him up all day with this. But I'm going to go ahead and let this thing play, and you see for yourself. If you've seen this video, hit the number 1 button. If you haven't seen this video, and this is just a clip from a larger video that I had, and I just decided to take a lesson from Kevin Samuels, MTR, and lead attorney. I just decided let me just let this thing rip, but I'm going to go ahead and just let it play for a little while, and you guys tell me what you think. Okay, what is your impression? And I'll try to break down because there was a science to what I was doing. Okay, I wasn't just talking to her. I was also allowing her to speak so that she can hear herself say some of these wild, outlandish things she was saying. So I'm going to let this play. The link is in the chat. And I don't want to mislabel you because that's just what
I am a divester. I'm a savage divester. I'm actually...
What does that mean, please?
I don't, you can see I love the Confederate flag because it doesn't offend me like it used to, because I used to be black male identified and I used to be into all of that stuff. So I kind of just abandoned.
That's not the Confederate flag. That's the Confederate battle flag.
The Confederate battle.
So the first thing you have to understand is that I'm a trial lawyer. Okay. Now, when I was at Tulane working on my LLM, which is a master's degree in environmental law, one of my professors there, he said, always take the cheap shot. So what you just saw me do is take the cheap shot. Most people refer to this as the Confederate flag. I happen to know it's a Confederate battle flag. But when you take the cheap shot, it kind of unnerves your opponent. You see, so now she's shook. Now you're going to come in here and tell me you know everything about this flag, but you don't even know its true origin. Always take the cheap shot. I actually talk about that in my books. It's no different than if your adversary, let's say you're in court, or your boss or somebody like that, in order to kind of put you in your place, they'll come up and check your tie a little bit. Oh, let me fix your tie. Or they'll say, oh, your hair, women will do it all the time. Oh, your hair is out of place a little bit. Oh, you had a rough night. That's the cheap shot. You point out something extremely obvious to them that they may be unconscious about. So now she spent 3 or 4 seconds trying to explain that away and digest it. But this is the conversation. You have to, when people come in with rhetoric, it's just like having a brick wall up. And so you begin to poke holes, not pick and choose soft spots. It's just like when an invading army takes siege over a fort. What they do is they begin to look around and try to figure out where the soft spots are. And so that was an obvious one. I'll do it a couple of more times here, but let's continue to listen. Hit the number 1 button if you appreciate this conversation.
Flag.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
flag was actually flown only a few times in a few wars by a particular regiment. So that's not actually a Confederate flag.
Yeah, and this was actually in the United States Army too. So it's not like people see this flag and they get so offended.
I'm offended by it, but
no, it's not.
You're welcome to wear it. Now you also see, I said, yes, I'm offended by it. I know what you mean by it. I don't care if you try to, it's like people bringing up the swastika and saying, oh, well, this is just something from some sort of ancient organization, company, land, community that was stolen. It's offensive to Jewish people. Period. Who cares what it meant? Just like putting a noose in somebody's a black person's locker room. It doesn't matter what you meant by it. We know what it means right now. You see, it's what it means right now, not 1,000 years ago. Right now, what does this mean? Don't try to change it. Okay, it's offensive right now. 800 years ago, we worship all sorts of spirits and gods and stuff. Right now, that's called paganism. Things are different. But so I let her know, no, we're not on the same side, because what she's trying to do is try to teach me something. I'm like, no, and trying to educate me. And so I've thrown her off a little bit, and she's still coming back to the rhetoric. Let's continue listening. But
yeah,
maybe we'll talk about that another time. But go ahead, please explain to us what divester means.
Oh, it's just abandoning all black male identified ideology, abandoning the idea of black love.
Black what?
Cutting
black love, black.
Yeah, just cutting all that out. That's BS. For me, it's just not dating black men. Because it's if you're entertaining black men at this point in time, it's kind of like a distraction for the bigger picture.
What's
I'm sorry?
And the bigger picture is what?
Black women coming together.
So let's just assess that. This is her definition. Typically, when you're in a conversation with someone, you want to allow them to voice their definition of whatever their point or message is. So I'm listening to her. Her message is basically the divester community stands for what? It stands for, what does she call it? Black male, black male ideology or whatever that name was. I get the message. I get the point. And black male identified specifically. She's attempting to shame the other women who date and marry black men. That was her attack, and offend black men, period. But because I have a healthy knowledge of current events and history, I understand that for the most part, at this particular time, over 85% of black women are married to black men. So what she's saying is not factually, that's her opinion, but what she's trying to do is attack that by forcing black women to rethink their decision to marry black men. The other thing she did is, and now she's going to go into a further explanation of what it is. So let's keep listening. Y'all hit the number 1 button.
Together in a sisterhood, the way that we're doing, and it's a growing community, and I love it.
So now she's saying that the whole objective, right, is to get black women together, right? That to grow their group. Okay. Now my question is, and then what? Because I know well enough to know about psychology that at some point, or sociology and history, at some point, those women are going to need some men, because that's what's going to be necessary to keep any society going. There's there are several animal species that have female dominated groups. There's a certain group of monkeys and that have it. They're chimpanzee like, and they don't necessarily they do okay, but they don't necessarily fare very well. Same thing with hyenas. They end up, for the most part, they're scavengers. They're not apex predators. They're not like lions. And so, those do exist, but in the human realm, in human development, there's no society of women who have been able to do it on their own. They are not necessarily built for building and maintaining. So let's continue listening. So what I'm going to ask her is, what is your end game here? What's it? Once you got all the women together, now what? She doesn't have an answer for that. What do you think the end outcome of that's going to be? What's your end goal?
Black women putting themselves first and stop having.
Okay, so what's the end game here? Black women putting themselves first. Okay, now what? How you maintain a society without men, ladies? What's your end game here? Whether you like men or not, you're gonna need men. And here's the crazy thing, and I didn't get the chance to ask Andrew this, but I'm sure I got some guys from other ethnicities who'll tell you, look, once you start dating them, they're all about the same anyway. Any of you black dudes who are dating white women can tell that. Any of you Hispanic men, white men, Asian men who are dating white women or Hispanic or whatever, they're all about the same once you get down to it. They all want the same crap: attention, time, resources, and social status. But let's continue listening. Here's the number one button. And shout out to John Tom. He said, thanks for the show, Dennis. Nothing wrong with interracial relationships, but no need to hate an entire group of men, right? Especially when you have a mother and a father who are both African American. It makes no sense. Let's keep listening.
Having all these wedlock babies with all these black men, starting ruling
your families. Black women have 1.2 million babies by men.
Yeah, that's that Blackistan thing.
No, that's 1.2 million babies by men who are not black, over and above the amount that black men have. Like black women, and I know you don't have children, but
no.
But black women have 1.2 million black babies over and above the amount of children that black men have, which means that they've been having children with white and most likely white Hispanic. What you just saw me do right there. Shout out to my man. What's happening, brother? What's that? Hey. But she came in to get you, brother. She came in to get you. Alvin is in the house. But what I did was something. It's like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She threw something at me, and then I basically took it and I reversed it and I threw it back at her. She basically was trying to point out that black men are having babies outside of wedlock. But most of you guys know that 52% of black men don't have children. Not only they don't have, so that means only 48% of the black children being born are by are fathered or sired by black men, whereas 80% of black women have children outside of wedlock. So where are these kids coming from? It's not just 20% of black men. These lovely ladies are getting help from white men. They're getting help from Asian men and Latino men. They're having children. They have 1,200,000 children by white men, white men, Hispanic men, and Asian men, but mostly white men. So they're already over there doing the same thing to those communities that they're doing to the black community. And here's the thing, you got, and you guys, I'm going to have BGS come back in here because he was the one that originally brought that up, and it was a study, and he sent the study to me, and I actually talked about it once. But here's the thing, the thing that destroys us, and let me give you guys a breakdown, and this may be more on the line of a Sunday sermon. The reason that we have so much control over women, either in the law and in religion, is because if you don't control and bind women's sexual habits and sexual practices, they will reproduce children indiscriminately, and that will destroy your society. When you have children being born and just pushed out there in the world, they need resources, they need time, they need energy. You got loose kids out there who don't have structure and control. What ends up happening is that society goes down. Now, if you have a binding system, the law, the culture, the religion, the language, then what that'll do is that'll keep those kids confined. But what's happening and what you saw is, the Black community has deteriorated because we had all these loose babies out here with no structure and no fathers. Keep in mind, it's not just having the kids alone. It's also the structure that men put in place. In the Black community, the women run the community. And so the kids have no bounds. They have no structure. So they're just running wild. By contrast, Latino women in South America, specifically Colombia and the Dominican Republic, they have an obscene out of wedlock birth rate. But the difference is it's still patriarchal. And so the kids are confined. The women are under control and the men control them. The children are under control and the men control them. They have roles and regulations. Here in the Black community, there is none. So now with the uptick of, the F word, starts with F, rhymes with minimist, you got them running wild now. You see? And so it's beginning to affect, look at how white women are behaving. Look at how Latino women, look at Asian women. You can take a woman from another country and you can bring her to this country. And in a little while, she will be just like the lovely ladies of the Estados Unidos. Okay, so that's what's going on here. And until we get control of that, until we actually begin to put some social structures and strictures on these lovely ladies of all ethnicities here in the United States, it's going down in flames. But we got my man Alvin in here. Alvin, the people was mad at me, Alvin. They were mad at me because you said you cut Alvin off and nobody wants to date those Black women and they're ugly. And then you heard Andrew come in and say, I date Black women, they're very attractive. So it's not that white men don't find Black women attractive. As I said, that they didn't do it before because they didn't want to have problems with their family. White women and Hispanic women, they don't want you bringing Black women, especially Black American women, into their family because they operate differently as a group. I've seen how Hispanic women operate. I've seen how Asian women, and you got to be raised up in their group. Even white women, they interact differently. They work as a group. And when you bring a Black woman in there, she's not going to operate within that group circle that she had because she hadn't been. It's a different culture. And so they have a problem with it. Men, on the other hand, Alvin, I can speak for this myself. Hey, you give me some food, clean house, nice, quiet, peaceful home to live in. I'm gonna eat tortillas. I'm gonna eat fried rice. I'm gonna eat some apple pie. I'll even eat the potato salad. Okay, I eat the potato salad with the raisins in it. You understand what I'm saying? Men are just built to produce, and women don't get that. We're different. We come stripped down. We're the stripped down version of the car. You ladies got the bells and the whistles. You're too customized. You customize for your own society. Men just come. You could put a winch on the back. You know what I'm saying? Put the fog lights in the front. I can be whatever I need to be. I don't think the lovely ladies get that, but man. Welcome back. They were mad at me, man. You should have read my comments, man. They were mad. You cut Alvin off.
What you did was a genius, and thank you. I appreciate that. You took the heat off of me because I wasn't sure how I was gonna flip it, but
you was gonna get mad. She was gonna get you irate. You was gonna, and it was gonna get like she was gonna say something.
I knew she was trying
about your hair, man.
I knew she was trying to be controversial, so I wasn't really tripping. And like I said, I don't give those females any kind of extra attention. So I wasn't really sweating her. But but it was good. Thank you for giving her the opportunity to say what she said, because because a lot of times, you know, people on this side or people, you know, in this space will say flat out like, hey, this is what they think about you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you have a lot of other people on the other side that will say, oh no, they're all, you know, they don't think like that, you know, they won't. No, this is a perfect example of the type of person that we're talking about.
Right.
And like I said, I've never, you know, good looking woman, you know, like I'm like, yo, you could, you know,
She's beautiful.
but
I mean, I don't know what she looked like nose down.
underneath,
But
yeah, from what I could see, but she had the tatas out. She had the tatas out. But
work it out, yeah, like,
but the thing is, you touched on a lot of things, but the one thing that you touched on just a second ago is that they don't realize that like they're not built to deal with the family. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
yeah.
And they think that they can just say these things and act this way in public and then go and that man's family is going to deal with you.
Right.
And they're just not. They're not.
Right.
I've never, because like I said, I the reason why I feel like I can speak on this is because I'm on the other side where I rarely date black women.
Mm-hmm.
Never have really seriously dated a black woman. And in every dating situation that I've been in, it has been difficult. I've had to win over the parents. I've had to win over the mom or win over the dad or whatever. Now, ultimately, none of it really worked. And at the end of the day, I was exhausted and I didn't feel like I really wanted to deal with it anymore.
Right.
But the reality is that I could handle that. You know, I knew what I was getting myself into. I think these girls get into these situations thinking that, you know, that they could just all of a sudden now it's like rainbows, butterflies, and so on, and all of a sudden they're going to live like white women. And
yeah. You know, and I want you to, and here's the thing. Andrew was here earlier, and I don't know if you saw that part.
I heard.
You know, and I appreciate them because he's a real white man. He's not trying to be black or anything else. He's himself. He's comfortable. You can clearly tell a young man is comfortable with himself and who he is. And he was honest. You see what I mean? And I appreciate him telling these ladies, hey, if that's how you're trying to get us, it's not going to work. And any white man that will have you is looking at you like you're a traitor. I don't want somebody in here who doesn't like their own father or talks bad about their own brothers. That's not healthy. There's some issues there. There are some esteem issues, possibly some mental issues. Yeah. You know, even black, and see, here's the thing. I'm sure you dated white women. And they say that it's like one of their first line. I don't like white guys. And she's
that's crazy.
And you probably looking at her like, okay, I guess that's good for the ego. But the first thing I'm thinking is, well, damn, how many dudes have you told that to? Is that your pickup line? I mean, is this? Have you learned? You're trying to feed my ego and make me feel good. Oh, she doesn't like. She even like them. She must. You know, it's an ego thing. It's like I'm down the other team. I get what she's trying to do. You're trying to pump me up for a setup. You see. And a lot of women, and like, I'm glad Andrew came in there. Like, we got game too. White boys got. Matter of fact, they wrote books. All the best cons in this country have been run.
Came from white. They see those girls coming a mile away because the thing of it is that what they also don't realize is that, as a black person, when you're in circles like that, you do stick out like a sore thumb. And it is easy to see you. And anything that you do, people perceive, they can see it. And if your heart ain't in it for real, like if you really out there flying that Confederate flag, just trying to put on a show, they can tell. And even if you do believe that shit, they'll never trust you. They'll never trust you.
A traitor, man. Like you.
No.
Like, I would rather like if these ladies want to date out, just date out, but don't become a traitor and do it. Don't talk about your own children. Here's a thing that I didn't hit that I probably should have hit. And if I ever had these ladies back in here, so and this is in another part of the video, she says she loves mixed children. I love mixed children, but you heard what Andrew say, and I know from my own experience, mixed children are not considered white. They're not white. So what does that mean? By default, they're black. So then they're going to end up in the black community. So let's do this scenario. And you got a white father and a black mother, or you got a black father and a white mother. Okay, so you got boy children, and they got a white father. They're going to learn white men coping mechanisms on how to deal with the world, or they're going to learn black female coping mechanisms on how to be black in this world. That's going to be a problem. And let me tell you an even worse situation. You got a mixed biracial girl raised by a white woman. White women have a whole different set of standards that they go by in society. Society treats them differently than black girls get treated. And this little mixed girl, even though her mom is black, even though her mom is white, she's black. So you got a white woman raising a black girl who's going to end up in the black community, but this little black girl has white female coping mechanisms. A white girl can cry and everybody is going to come to her rescue. A black girl can cry and nobody cares. So when they see that little biracial girl, she's oh my God, I hurt myself. They're gonna be like, so? You see, because she's not a white girl.
Yeah.
You see, and so this young lady who, I believe STR, Savage Divester, when she has these little children, then who's going to teach them how to exist in this world? If she has a little biracial black boy, a biracial child by her white husband, fiance, guess what's going to happen? He's going to be a black man. And if he's going to survive, he's going to have black men coping mechanisms. You can't get out the car and cuss the cops out. They're going to beat you down, biracial or not. You can't run up on a group of white boys and be like, hey, guys, they're like, sir, you don't fit in here. We'll accept you for a little while, but you're still not white, Yeah. And of course, people can be friends on a superficial level, but culturally speaking, it's just different. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm sure as you date out, you probably had to think about that,
Well, I mean, ladies are just short-sighted, and I think these are the qualities this is why you need men around, because they do look around the corner and they think about how their children are going to be brought up, and the type of right, like black folks, they even Asians, right? They give their kids names, Tommy, so and so. Do they do things to help their kids assimilate? Now, you could look at it two different ways, right? You say, okay, well, I'm giving my kid this name so that they can assimilate, so they don't get messed with, right? Or they have an easier time in life, right? Now, I think we should, as black people, even have a cultural conversation as to whether or not that makes because we get put down for it, right? Like we it's like, oh, you trying to do this like the white man, right? There's been a couple of conversations that I've been a part of over the last couple of days where black folks have been trying to shame being like white people, but or being like another successful group of people.
Right. And
I don't necessarily see anything wrong with trying to be successful groups of people. If you happen to have an example of what that is.
Here's what I want you to do for me. The next time somebody brings that up, I want you to say, Uncle D has a question for you. Why do you associate success with being white? And if you do, then that means you associate being unsuccessful with black, because you have to. Yeah. Because success has no color. Yeah. So if you associate being successful with white, then that means at that point you got an extreme case of low self-esteem, because you then by default associate being black with unsuccessful. Hit them with that and say, I want to answer the question, and then we'll continue to talk. But if they can't answer the question, then no, speaking and reading standard English and being able to, in a country where we speak English, is a sign of what? Success. Being able to succeed at college and whatever, even a business, is a sign of success. Why is it that black people associate success with whiteness? Why do we associate with moving into a big house in a nice neighborhood, having nice cars, and speaking intelligently, being thoughtful? Why do we associate that with being unsuccessful? I mean, as far as a black, but we associate that with being white, because we have a low self-esteem issue, and you should call them on that, man.
Yeah.
You know, you just ask them if being white if being white is synonymous with success, then what is being black to you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
well,
man, don't let them escape that conversation. All right.
No, well, I mean, it's generally a lot of loser talk. I think I've come to the point to where I don't get shaken by it. Right? It was a thing. It was a tactic that was used against me as when I was a kid, because I got good grades and I was, an active participant in a lot of the school activities and so on, in addition to sports. And so, like, I had to deal with a lot of that stuff as a kid on my own. And luckily for me, I realized early that those people were just jealous, and that at the end of the day, my outcomes were going to be better than theirs. And I didn't let it bother me. But I think that there's a lot of other young black men that do succumb to the pressure, and they do, put their books on, hide their books before school, or don't perform as well as they know that they can, because they're embarrassed by it. And I think culturally, and just kind of bring it back to culturally, we have to change that.
Let me tell you, because as a father, I anticipated that. But shout out to my man Blackfist XU, man. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Hit the #1 button, guys, and make sure you check in. I need to know where y'all checking in from, man. Is Detroit in the house? Y'all know Detroit is one of my favorite cities. I don't know if y'all know that. I had such a great time. I love Detroit, man. Detroit is one of my favorites. I finally got my Detroit Tigers hats. I used to love just watching the games. Favorite team, man. Love Detroit. But where's Detroit at? Detroit, shout out to Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta. Y'all make sure y'all check in, man. North Carolina in the house, NJ, Arlington, Texas. Y'all make sure y'all check in. Here's what I've done, because I have 3 young sons, and my oldest son is 14. And here's what I learned that I had to do, even before they knew it, because I knew they would get teased. I taught them how to fight. Not me personally, but I taught them how to. I've taken them to martial arts. I've taken them. They know how to throw axes. My sons can probably hit you between the eyes with a throwing axe from about 20 yards away. You see what I mean? And they've been doing that since they were 6, 7 years old, 6 and 8 years old. And I know that's, oh my God, I know it sounds violent. No. And then also with the jiu-jitsu and the karate, people can't intimidate. You can't intimidate somebody that knows that they can beat you. You can't intimidate. You can't, what's the word? People who know that they can beat you aren't going to succumb to your peer pressure. You see what I'm saying? Alvin, if you were my son, I would have raised you to know that you're a physical alpha male early on, and then you wouldn't pay attention to them. It's like a mouse speaking to a lion. Lions don't care what mice have to say. And that's what you have to do. So when you do have children, make sure you raise them to be elite warriors. Just develop that warrior mindset. And there's nothing people can say. They're like, I don't care. You can tell me I can talk white. You tell me I'm talking white all you want, but I can beat your butt. You see what I'm saying? The intimidation factor. They're not going to mess with whatever your son say is going to be what's cool on the campus. Because don't nobody want no smoke with him. He just don't give off those vibes. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So keep that in mind. That's and a lot of people complain about the fact that, I put my children up, but you guys always talk about this page and that page is supposed to be uplifting black men. But if you ain't got no black men that you've uplifted, i.e. your own sons, how can I trust your word? Yeah. You see what I mean? You got a lot of dudes, you got a lot of weirdos on this YouTube thing. They don't even want to show
cool.
You don't know what
crazy.
They're not taking care of their kids, and they giving you advice. You see what I'm saying? I need somebody. Let me see what you're doing with your own children before I start taking advice from you, because I need to see who you are as a man. I'm not worried about what your baby mama said. I want to see what you've done with your own. You see what I mean?
Just the need, that the idea that someone has, that their opinion is worthy of even typing and putting and hitting the enter button. Nobody cares about you. And it's the whole the saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, where did that go? It takes more time to type something hateful than to just let it go.
He's in the Ray Rays. They started that. The street dudes, they was trying to shame educated boys out of not doing it because oftentimes they're jealous of it. Oh, you a square, you this, that. Trying to shame you out of that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's why I tell you, unfortunately, and I learned this from my Uncle Slim, unfortunately, the only thing that group understands is extreme violence. That's the only thing they understand. And so you have to speak to them in the language that they get. All right. But anyway, I want you to chill for a minute. Brandon, welcome in, man. You can cam back up, bro. I'm going to let this play. I want to get more y'all's impressions on this young lady, because this is what we're doing. We're doing a reaction. What's your impression?
Kind of a practice too. They're practicing Blackistan over there too, because they're getting with like white guys don't usually leave their kids like that. So they're practicing Blackistan over there too. That's the thing. We have to stop
Why do you think white men are abandoning these black women with these children?
I don't think that they're abandoning their kids. I just think that maybe black women didn't get married to them, which is unfortunate sometimes.
They did, and it's the same thing that they're doing in the black community. They are literally having children outside of wedlock with men of other races, just like they did with black men. All right, so in this situation, and I'm gonna bring Brandon in here now. She's basically, I know the echo is bad. I'm sorry, I didn't click the mute button. My bad. Okay. But what she's basically trying to do is say, oh, white men are perfect. And I'm like, no, they're leaving their little biracial children with you lovely ladies too. And so why are they doing that? And she didn't have an example. She didn't have an answer. And it's because what I said, assholes come in all colors. All right. Deadbeat dads come in all colors. You can't escape deadbeat. If you attract a no good loser, whatever color he is, you're gonna end up being a baby mama. It is what it is. Poor choices. And if you're having sex before you get married and you decide you get pregnant and you take that baby all the way to term, you're gonna be a baby mama. Period. Doesn't matter what color the man is. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this round table popping. I need you guys to hit the #1 button. And the other thing is, we got almost 250 people in the chat room, and we need to get the likes up. Hit the thumbs up button, please. Please do that. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you check in. Let me give a shout out to my people, man. As I said, T.D. Harden said, historically, black people deal with effects of arrested development. I agree. Shout out to Tampa Bay, Boston in the house, London, UK. What's happening in the house, man? Big up, Katie. Louisiana, always, man. Always. Man, I got a lot of people from UK here. Ephraim Mackworth. That sounds like a very Londonish name right there. Ephraim. I don't have a London accent down, man, but welcome. NYC. Much love to NYC, Chicago, Chi-Town, baby. I'll be in Chi-Town next month. Sacramento, LA, Boston, H-Town. Where my people at? North Carolina and New Jersey, all in Texas. Y'all make sure y'all check in, man. Let me know when you guys are coming in. What do you guys think about, Brandon, and welcome to Rodney. What do you guys think about this young lady in my conversation that I had with? Was it helpful? I didn't bash her. I tried to be very respectful. What do you think, Brandon?
How you doing, Mr. Spurling? I think I caught the conversation that you had with her previously the other day, but I am familiar with her. I've seen her on other platforms, and I think the conversation is helpful. I think it's good to know where people stand in the community. Me personally, I don't fault her for feeling the way she feels. I mean, everybody's entitled to feel the way that they feel and want to do what they do and how they do it. So I think it's a very productive conversation in that respect. But one thing I wanted to touch on, I just got done coaching a all-star diversity camp for USA Swimming. I am a USA Swimming coach here in Georgia. I came in on the tail end of the conversation when y'all were talking about black people talking white and doing all of that. And that's what kind of made me want to come in because I was just in a room full of kids, 90% African American, and as they were speaking to our guest speaker, all of them were speaking proper English. They were very articulate. They were asking great questions, and I was just I was proud at that moment to be black, because it was an awesome thing, right? And so it's kind of like, and I think I come from an era, even though I grew up in a middle class family, I come up from an era, and probably a lot of us did, where kids got talked about a lot for talking proper, right? And not and talking slang was what you were supposed to do, right? And I actually went and hired a really proper speaking personal trainer, and she asked, why'd you hire me when you could get other personal trainers? I told her specifically because you talk properly, and they get enough of their country, excuse my French, they country ass coach, sometimes using ebonics or slang or whatever. I try to be as articulate and as I can, but I wouldn't pick her specifically because I wanted the other girls who were talking properly and using correct English to see that you're okay, right? You're okay. There's nothing wrong with it, right? This is another young African American lady who's very successful at what she does, right? And it's fine to do. So
I want to bring this back to this divester, because this is a reaction video to the divester. It seems to me that in the divestment community, and I didn't know this young lady. She just popped up on the internet. She was talking reckless about Alvin. I'm like, why are you picking on Alvin? She said Alvin was bald-headed. He ain't got no girlfriends. She talked bad about Alvin. I'm like, Alvin been here. Alvin is one of my regular viewers. I can't have you talking about Alvin like that, And so I wanted to figure out who she was before I let her jump on Alvin, And so I learned a lot. It was disturbing, but it's almost like she associated everything negative with being black or black male, or what did she call it? Black male oriented, black male something or another. And here you just hear the coach say otherwise. You can have well-spoken black children, but basically, according to her, that doesn't happen. But Broadcast TV, thank you for joining the broadcast here. Please join in on this conversation and give us your thoughts. And we want to kind of focus on this divester and what other points could have been brought up. And I brought up several. What other points do you think we could have brought up?
Thank you for having me, Dennis, and thank you guys for contributing to the conversation. Big fan of yours, brother.
All praises to the Most High. Go ahead.
That's right. One thing, I'm sorry, I had this thought in my mind before I get to that part, and I think it's going to segment to what you're asking. The point that she was always blaming black men and blaming blackness for everything wrong with the black community, right? Or everything wrong with black men, and how you were able to, tell her, for example, let's say she said, well, black men cheat at a high rate. And you would say, well, white men cheat at a high rate as well, or white men treat black women just as poorly as black men treat black women as well. And it was like the cognitive dissonance that she had. And it was just like, you would talk about to her that, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No
yeah,
problem.
I lost my train of thought.
Let me also, let's do this, because she had a point, and I want to bring this point up. And I don't know if you were here when the young man was here earlier, Andrew. Black women are extremely attractive, and there are other men from other groups that will date black women. And so I know that, the manosphere, the internet, you always got these black dudes saying stuff like, oh, white men aren't attracted to black women. That's not true. That's just not true. Black women are gorgeous. They're beautiful. As we wouldn't be dealing with them, with all that attitude. If she wasn't as fine as she was, you wouldn't be dealing with it. And let's just be honest. The reason that you got less black men getting married right now is because the lovely ladies have gotten a little too plump. But if they would lose about 50, 100 pounds, some of them a little more, then y'all will be right back there willing to deal with them. But it's because of the weight gain, the obesity in the past 10 years, or really probably since, because they were still fine back in 2000 all the way up into 2005. It was around 2005 that the lovely ladies start gaining so much weight. And brothers are like, look, I deal with a lot, but I'm not going to deal with a wide back. Your back is too wide, baby. Your arms are too flabby. And that's why brothers have kind of chill on the marriage in this relationship. Some brothers still in it. But my whole point is black women are extremely attractive. Why is it that so many of these guys on the internet try to tell black women that they're not attractive when we know they are? You know, and if we think they are, white men think they are, Asian, Hispanic. Now, of course, that's not across the board, but most men are attracted to women who fit a certain dimension. You know, the hips ratio to the waist to the face, they'll work with it. So we got to get rid of that lie. It might make you feel good that nobody else wants your woman. Ain't nobody else gonna want you. I'm the only man that's gonna want. It might make you feel good, but it's just not true. So, Rodcast, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. So actually, I'm a former personal trainer. I've recently moved to Florida last
Right.
year from New York, and I registered as a Republican, by the way. So, but I didn't notice the problem of overweight women and obese women, specifically black women, because being living in the black community, until I
Yeah.
really started training people and I really started seeing the difference with body proportions and stuff. And people would tell me, hey, you're in shape and you look a certain way, and I'm like, I'm thinking all this time I just look normal. This is a normal lifestyle for me. And most of my clients were women, and the majority of my clients were at least 30 pounds overweight. What I think is that the fact that we have this perception of what beauty looks like, and it has to do with weight, I don't necessarily always agree with it, because women are beautiful, period.
Okay,
But
bro.
women,
I hear you. They can be beautiful, right?
right.
But
I'm going where you're going.
Go ahead.
But
Yeah.
women have to be accountable for the fact that men are visual creatures. And
here's a problem. I'm gonna stop you right there, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I got a queen mother goddess simp chip. You got a queen mother goddess simp chip. Alvin, I know Alvin, you got one too. You got it. We all have a queen mother goddess simp chip, but we're beginning when you preface all women are beautiful, and we know they're not, because that lady who started the Me Too movement is not a beautiful woman. What's her name? Nelda Burke or whatever. She's a very unattractive woman. And so we can't say that. Just like women don't say all men are strong, some of us ain't. All men are brave, some of us aren't. You see, let's be honest. I think the thing you should learn from Kevin Samuels is that you will be rewarded if you tell the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Let me say that again. You will be rewarded if you tell the truth. All women are not beautiful. All women are not attractive. It seems because in Colombia, where they have all these beautiful women, they will tell you all women are not beautiful. You see what I mean? They will tell you that. And some of the most beautiful women in the world of all shades come from there. All these women are not beautiful, brother. They're not. And that's that queen mother goddess simp chip from the 1980s and 1990. Queen mother goddess can do no wrong. I'm just gonna hit you with that. You see what I'm saying? And that's something we all do, because you want to spare their feelings. I get it. I want to spare their feelings too. But sometimes when you're about to fall over a cliff, we gotta be honest. But I want you to finish. But go ahead. And I just something I hear it so much, and I used to do it too. It sounds good, but just and I'm saying this from a place of love and respect. But just think about that. Even if you don't change the way you would talk now, just think about that, because our sisters are dying. Look at this fool right here, man. This is what happens after 40 years of lying to black women and telling them it's not their fault and they can do no wrong. And you can blame the black men anytime you out of pocket. This is what happens right here. This is what you get. You get a young black woman with two black parents from 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, born and raised in H-Town, wearing a Confederate flag on YouTube for the whole world to see. This is what happens when you lie to women and try to make them feel good. You see what I'm saying? So this is not your fault because you wasn't born then. But this is where we are. So we have to begin to be honest with these women and don't worry about sparing their feelings. That's all I'm saying. But I love you, brother, and I appreciate you coming on. But just think about that. Don't change right now. Just think about that. You see what I'm saying? But God bless you, brother. Go ahead and finish your statement. And shout out to Dr. O. Go ahead, bro.
No, thank you. I completely agree with you. And listen, you could be hard on me, like I look up to you as a a OG, you could say, right? So I listen to learn.
It's your first time in here. I'm hard on Alvin. Alvin been here a while, so I know he'll
okay.
I don't want to run my new people up, but go ahead.
No, I understand what you mean. So what I meant by beautiful is a beautiful person doesn't mean that they are attractive or I'm going to date them. So I've said that to women, like just because a man calls you a beautiful person doesn't mean he's going to date you or that he's attracted to you. So I perceive it differently, but I completely understand where you're coming from, and I agree because I just had an aunt that passed away, and she's a twin of my birth mother, and my birth mother has a bad heart, right? So I said, "How did you get a bad heart?" And she's like, "I don't know, it just came." And I'm like, "Well, don't you have 4 pre-existing conditions that could have led to that bad heart?" And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, you have diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, and you know what I mean? And my mother also died. She died, and she my mother that raised me, excuse me, I was adopted. So she also was extreme morbidly obese. So I agree with you with the fact that this culture, and this is how I found you, Kevin Samuels, and everyone else. We have this culture where we've lied to women and we've told women and we coddle women just to make them feel good about themselves. But facts don't change. I don't care how much you want to change genders or do this fat shaming stuff or call people fat phobic because they don't want to date you and things like that. I'm totally with you. I'm not with that. And I used to tell my ladies, like, listen, you can't accept just being quote unquote thick. Like that was used to try to make you be comfortable with your obesity, saying, "Oh, I'm just big boned and all this stuff." I don't play that stuff, and I don't even date women who subscribe to that type of thinking, which is part of the reason why I decided to register as a Republican. Because I realized I had more conservative values, and I realized that we have this culture that has perpetuated, within our society for the past 60, 70, probably even longer than that, Mr. Spurling. It's damaged our community far more than, we imagine. So, with this young lady, with this divester, I just started learning about divesters. I had no idea this was a community of divesters,
Hey, man, yeah,
I had no idea.
Go ahead.
To land my plane, when I saw the Confederate flag, as a mass, I thought it was a troll. Like I thought this wasn't real. I said, let me click on this and hear what she was saying. And the point that I lost earlier, what you said to her made sense. This is one of the things that I clicked with me. You can't change who you are, the color of your skin, just because you're deciding you want to go divest with another culture. And it seems like she was, like you said, she was trying to run away from who she was by capitulating to his standards of what he's looking for.
See, here's what I understand, Rodcast, and then we're gonna go back to Alvin in a minute. She's just spewing rhetoric. Okay, rhetoric are things that people say that they haven't really thought out fully. Wherever she got this from, she's just spewing things that she's heard, but she hadn't quite actually thought about it. And it's not the color of her skin is the problem. It's the programming. See, just like I told you, brothers, we all have this queen mother goddess simp chip. I'm gonna tell you a story because I like telling stories. So I was down in the Dominican Republic, probably 2017. I'm sitting on the front porch of my villa at the time, overlooking the ocean. I'm way up on a mountain somewhere. Shout out to my man Yoga, baby. That's what's happening. I say the DR, he pop up. Yeah, I am. But I'm in Torre Alta, Dominican Republic, in Puerto Plata, which is over in Port de Plata. It's kind of up in the hills somewhere. My lady at the time was cooking, and a truck came by that sold meat, like a meat truck, real life. You got steaks, whatever you eat. And he asked me in Spanish, would I like to buy some meat? And I said, oh, that's the lady of the house decision. He looked at me like I was crazy. He like, what? He damn near cussed me out, right? And so he basically told me that's not her decision. That's your decision. The woman doesn't make the decision as to that. You make that decision because that's their culture. And so me going down there wearing a polo shirt and or speaking Spanish or these outside things, that's not enough. This young woman wearing this Confederate flag does not change her culture. Her claiming that she's no longer black male identified does not change her culture. Her speaking proper with the nasal accent like that does not change her culture. Her trying to run game on white boys and white men telling them that, oh, I hate those black, that does not change her culture. She is who she is no matter where she goes. If you want to change your culture, there are a lot of things you have to do. First, you have to immerse yourself in a person's culture. She would literally have to move to a foreign country where they have, and get reprogrammed. That's why I refer to your culture as your programming. And if you got a toxic culture, you got a toxic programming. Your culture. Dr. Amos said this. You guys should look him up. Dr. Amos, he's here on YouTube. He's a famous psychologist from years back, black man. Culture, the decision that culture has to try to answer, or the question that culture answers is, can I get this group of people to survive to the next generation? And so the culture answers the questions. So if you have a culture that's toxic, guess what? It's not a culture that is going to allow your group of people to survive to the next generation. And that's why I say black culture is toxic right now. It's toxic right now. That was my whole point of saying that. A lot of people that goes over their head, but that's where we are right now. Rodcast, go ahead and finish, and then I'm gonna bring Alvin back in.
I'm actually done, Mr. Spurling. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Well, welcome to the round table. Let's get everybody going. My man, Yoga. Always good to have you in here, man. Where you at right now, Yoga?
I'm in the ATL. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you fine. So, what are your thoughts on this young lady? And let's let a little bit more of this clip play, man. But what are your thoughts on this young lady and what she had to say the other day?
Well, first off, when I heard that she's from Houston, 4th Ward, I'm like, hold on. And then you gotta look at how old she is. So she grew up in the height of hip hop. She know about Houston in the late 90s. So and so I'm looking like, okay, for her to have on a Confederate flag coming out of H-Town in the late 90s, HBCU, she said she researched you on Facebook. She knew about Texas Southern. I peeped all of that. Yeah, I peeped all that. So for her to do that, she's connected in the community some type of way. And so I said, okay, so she purposely got on the flag. So she's trying to be antagonistic, but why? And I'm like, you from H-Town, you from inner city H-Town proper, and you got on Confederate flag. That just, even your homegirls would diss you for that. Even her homegirls would diss her for that. So I think she's been ostracized from her traditional group of black females from H-Town, her traditional, what she grew up with. I think she don't even, she's just cut them off also for her to come out with the Confederate situation. Now, here's the other part. When you pointed out, well, you just run a game on the white boys because you don't really like eat and live that way. And she had nothing to say.
Right.
Yeah, she had absolutely nothing to say. So at that point, honestly, I discredit everything.
Those pauses and those laughs said a lot more of what she really thought.
Exactly. So that lets me know that she's not even going to reel in the big fish white guy that's cool with her going around with Confederate stuff. Because right now, white men can't even talk bad about black men in the media. You see, they get other black men like Stephen A. Smith and other people to do it. So the type of white man she's trying to catch, she doesn't even have a game to catch him. So she's covering up by all the fake symbolism, and she still doesn't have the real womanhood that the white man is gonna want.
All this is gonna do is attract white trash and redneck.
Exactly.
You know
So
what I'm saying? Like you attract the young man who was on here earlier, and I don't know if you guys saw him earlier, Andrew. This is not appealing to him. He can't take you to his house. And
yeah,
heaven forbid, one of these divestors end up with a Jewish guy, and you
exactly.
bring this is one step away from the Nazi flag.
Exactly. If they people look that up online, if they people see that she has this stuff online.
Yeah.
So we dealing with a sister. It seems like that even her homegirl, a black homegirl from H-Town, has cut her off. She's not dealing with none of the guys and black men in H-Town. She's not dealing with none of the black men in the country, and she has fake game for the new. I think she thinks white men are stupid and simps. So she has like weak game, and you shot holes through the game. So it was like it was crazy. So she's probably had a life of trying to antagonize all of her boyfriends. And young brothers who watching this, y'all dealing with sisters in their 20s, 22, and you wondering why she let you get close, and then she antagonizing, she going at you sharp. You got a lot of these young women, they really angry at their fathers or the situation why their fathers weren't able to be in their life, and that's why they so antagonistic towards us.
Here's the thing, man, and I'm gonna go back to Alvin real quick, but first let me read these. D said, telling all women are beautiful, it allows them to live an unhealthy lifestyle. If I'm beautiful, a man will accept me for who I am. 200 pounds at 5'4". Yeah, like, nah. I mean, let's be honest with these ladies. Just like we're honest with men. We're better, right? As men.
All men not rich.
Yeah, all men aren't good at playing basketball. Go be an engineer. You see what I mean? All men aren't I'm telling you, you an Olympic swimmer, so you hop in the middle of the ocean and you die. That's not smart. You see what I'm saying? Again, thank you so much, Rod Casey. I appreciate you, Mr. Spurling, for having me on the platform. All the comments. This is great conversation. Here's the other thing, and I want you guys to take away from, and I want y'all to listen to this very carefully. A lot of you guys, especially in the comment section, remark on how patient I was with this young lady. Some of you guys know your favorite YouTubers, they would have exploded long before that. You see what I mean? But let me tell you something. Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he was a young student minister. And I heard this conversation probably back in the 1980s from one of those little videotapes. Those of you around long enough, y'all know what VHS is. But if you truly love your people, then you don't bash them and beat them up and whatnot. Now, there's a time when you have to pay a punishment for what you do. You see what I'm saying? But I recognize that this young woman is she's attention seeking. She's been misguided. Okay. And she's trying to run some fake game. So you don't hear me on here cussing her out. You understand what I'm saying? And what I don't want you brothers to do, and this is the lesson I want you to take from me, I don't want to hear y'all cussing out black women, because that doesn't make us look good. Just like I don't want y'all cussing each other out, cussing black women out, whether you date them or not. That's not healthy, and that's not manly. That's not masculine. You got to be able to hold your frame. As ignorant as this woman basically says she hates black men. I have black sons. She basically told me she was my enemy. You see what I'm saying? And see, here's the thing. She just thinks she's spewing rhetoric and it sounds good. She's attention seeking. There are people that will take this rhetoric that she says and use it as fuel to do harm to us and our sons and our nephews. You understand what I mean? But as much as I know about that, I still didn't treat this black woman with disrespect. I still didn't curse her out. I didn't call her the B word. I didn't call her crazy. I didn't do any of that. You see, and I want y'all to take that as a lesson in maturity. You see what I mean? You can't allow women to bait you into these emotional arguments. And then you just look, they won because you can't beat them in that battle. You understand what I'm saying, fellas? Is that you get where I'm going, Alvin? That's why I jumped in front of you. I said, let me go ahead. I said, let me jump in front of this right quick. What are you did you get that, man?
100%. I mean, and again, that's the that's the thing that that you and, you know, if I may, you know, what allows, you know, you and TLA and Mediocre and Kevin, that's why that, you know, you guys meeting up was so important, because you guys allow the lovely
Oh.
ladies to say what's on their mind. And
Mhm.
and you know, we could say it till we're blue in the face, but when they say it out of their own mouths, you can't refute it. And you gave her the space to say that and feel comfortable saying that, so on and so forth. Because I know I was sitting back here in the backstage like, you look silly right now, but
Right.
but you know, it is what it is. One thing that I picked up on that we haven't touched on yet, and one thing that I've had said to me a lot as a young person, or as a black man, is you're different. You're
Right.
different. You're not like, you're different. You're
Mhm.
different. You're not like those other black guys. You're different. You're
And she
different, which falls,
yeah,
which
go
which
ahead.
which 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 goes right into how we associate good with whiteness and bad with blackness, right? So you,
Right.
by default, if you're black and you're nice, you have to be different than everyone else,
And
and
you
that bullshit's got to stop. Sorry.
but you see, did you hear my response to that? My response is that see,
I'm
here's the
just
other thing. I don't let people separate me from my brothers. I don't care how many suits I wear, how many degrees I have. I am still a black man in America, and I will never forget that. And my sons know that they're black men in America, and they're not allowed to forget that. Don't let people in there, because you know, you know, you're a good Negro. Come on over here. Come on over here, John, and we'll give you an extra little bit of food, you know. That's the way they separate. See, I've told you this all the time, and a lot of people don't listen. Unity is our main problem, or the lack thereof is our main problem. And at the point where black men become unified, that's when we'll have our strength. When the point where black people become unified across the world, that's when we can sit at the table with the Asians and the Europeans and the Arabs and say, hey, now y'all gonna look, y'all been running it for a minute, but now we're unified. I done got my African brothers in Nigeria. They said we ain't selling y'all no oil unless you do this, that, and the other here in the United States. That's what unity does. Y'all can't come back to Rwanda and get those diamonds and all those things unless we get this unless you guys give us this collectively. I don't demonstrate unity, okay, if I do otherwise, by allowing people to separate me and say, "Oh, you different. You a special Negro." That's not how that works. So when even coming from one of our own sisters, is as out of the pocket as she is, I don't let that go. Don't ever let people separate you from your power base. My power base, my strength comes from my black brothers. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't want any one of you brothers to ever forget that. Don't let them treat you like you a special Negro. Because what happens when they get you off there by yourself, telling you special? Huh?
Man, yeah, when they get done with you.
You get isolated from your group.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
you get
saying?
isolated, and the second you're not useful anymore, you get the chopping block.
Yeah. There's always been the special Negro. The special Negro usually ends up on a tree somewhere with a rope around his neck. But that's me and the fellas, man. I went to New York, and I hung out with Kevin Samuels and MTR. Let me get that picture back up. And the lead attorney. And man, let me tell you something, boy. They sat me down and they schooled me, man. I'm gonna just be honest. I turned into a student again. It's like, you supposed to have at least 70,000 files. I'm like, what y'all mean? First, lead attorney said, look, stop playing all them goddamn that long music. I was like, damn, you right. Kevin Savage told you supposed to have at least 70 MTR. He's like, you don't know what CPM and RPM is. You need to take this serious. So, I have to, see, one thing about me, man, is I'm happy to be a student, and I'm going to take another point of personal privilege and give you guys some of my inner thoughts. So, in 2000, or I'm sorry, in 2021, I started taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It was about October. Now, I had a little health scare. Blood pressure apparently was damn near about to stroke me out. So they put me on blood pressure pills. It's not necessarily my fault because it's hereditary for most African-American men who came over here on slave ships. The ones of us that had high blood pressure survived. The other ones that didn't, they died from dehydration. That came out. That's a study that actually came out. And so I said, well, I need to get myself together. So I started taking the pills. I started feeling a lot better. Like, wow, you know? And so I said, well, let me go ahead and do some stuff that I used to do. So I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a student. My son's got higher belts than me. I started doing Kaju Kimbo. My sons take from the same instructor. They have black belts. I'm a white belt. They got high. I'm learning from my kids. I'm learning from these people. You see what I'm saying? One today, a 12-year-old who's another, he corrected me. You see what I'm saying? I'm a student. I'm a student of the game. I'm doing class action cases for the past 2 decades. I have mastered how to do car accidents, 18-wheelers, all these different things. I'm the boss at my law firm. But now, since I'm doing class action cases and I have 4 of them, ITC explosion, Arkema explosion here, both in Texas, the Similac cases filed up in Chicago, and the CPAP cases for those breathing machines. And now I got about 8 or 9 lawyers who are 55, 60, 70, some younger than me. But for the most part, I'm a student of theirs again, but for this different level of the game. In addition to that, you know, I'm a student here on YouTube. These gentlemen here that you see, right, have mastered this YouTube game. They have mastered it. Kevin said, how many? 1.2 million followers. Lead attorney, 300,000. MTR, 600,000 followers. I got 18. You see what I'm saying? Who's the masters and who's the student? I told them, I said, you guys have mastered it. And they're like, no, you good. But they corrected me. That's what we call that in martial arts. You need to be corrected. I was corrected, and I appreciate it. As you see, just doing some of the small things they changed. I got another 1,000 followers just since I left New York, just because of listening to them. So what I'm trying to explain to you, brothers, is, man, being a student, listening, always being willing to open and learn. Remember, all wisdom comes from the Most High. So if someone is trying to partake wisdom upon you and there's some learning afoot, then that's a gift from God. Many of us, and I don't want to get into my Sunday sermon like I do, but some of us don't like the messenger, and so we forsake the message, but that's God trying to give you wisdom. There was a story, an old parable. Somebody was drowning in a river, and they said, God, send me a boat. Raft came along, and they just pushed the raft aside because it wasn't a boat. And then next thing came along, a little canoe came along. So they pushed that aside and said, well, that's not a boat either. And then last thing, a log came along, and the person pushed that aside and drowned, got to heaven. And the Lord said, Lord, I've been a good servant of yours. Why haven't you sent me? You know, I was dying and you didn't send me a boat. He said, well, I sent you a raft, a canoe, and a log, and you didn't want none of that. You see? So my thing is, and I was going to try to do a whole show about this yesterday, but I was just super tired after that 7-hour deposition that I had for one of my cases. But what I'm saying is these gentlemen right here, and you know, I'm humbly included into this picture. You see what I mean? I'm humbled to be in this picture with these YouTube phenomenons, okay? But they're changing the image of what black men are. We are showing patience. I ain't never seen somebody as patient as Kevin Samuels with these lovely ladies. I've never seen somebody as patient as and thoughtful as the lead attorney. The way he picked the way that young lady, Tasha K, and MTR, just brilliant young man and thoughtful. What I'm trying to explain to y'all, this is the image of black men that we want to portray, I think. You see what I'm saying? I hope that you brothers see this. This is the image we need to put forward. Whether you like the message, whether you agree or not, look at the image that is coming in. You see what I'm saying? That's what I want y'all to think about. Sit back and look at the big picture. That young man, Andrew, you know why he came on my show today with a suit and tie? Because he said, well, you know, you got a suit and tie. He and I talked backstage for me. He said, because I want to be like you. This is a white dude that I ain't never met before who sent me a message on the internet saying, you know, this is, wow, you know, and I say some raw stuff on this page. I'll be talking about white supremacy, this, that, and the other. But because I'm truthful, right, and because I'm respectful, we can have an intelligent conversation. You can't do this if you got dudes on here, you know, making threats and waving, you know, talking about this, that. You can't do that. This is what we want. These are the type of black men that we want to have. And if these gentlemen have mastered BlackTube, as hard as it is to get through the YouTube algorithm, if you are black and talking about blackity black stuff, let's support these gentlemen, okay? Because this right here, see this, especially these two and this guy, this will help do away with this right here, okay? This right here, there's no room for her to talk reckless about black men, right? If the black men she's talking about look like those dudes, are respectful. Who looked like the idiot in that conversation that we had the other day? Huh? Me or her? Ask yourself, who looked calm and if you are outsider looking in, who looked like the one that I don't want to look? Who looked like the one? What are your thoughts, fellas? And the table is open. Shout out to Kobe Cole. Y'all go ahead and speak freely. Unmute yourselves and speak freely, man. Go ahead. We got to unmute y'all. Everybody unmute yourself. Yeah, just speak freely, man. Open up. The conversation's open. I just want to hear your thoughts on that divester. And, you know, she basically what I'm saying is she has ground to speak because of the image that we have. So we need to focus on changing our image. There can never be a group of divestors in the Asian community, even though they sleep out. Asian women date out more than anybody else, but they can't talk bad about Asian women because their reputation is so good. When you think Asian, you think math and technology. I know it's a stereotype and maybe kung fu. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead, brothers. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just think it's interesting that they really think that other groups of men don't hear them, and that they think that it's not going to matter, and that's the short-sighted part of the whole thing. And again, the fundamental difference is that, again, my situation is proximity. It has absolutely nothing to do with, hating I hate how we get treated as black people. I hate how I have to just take that shit on the chin. That's what I hate. I don't hate my skin, but I hate the fact that I got to sit in the pocket and watch people that look like me get murdered every day. But see, what she doesn't realize is that it's that type of rhetoric that makes it okay for these assholes to do this stuff in public. And that's the part where I even asked her myself, I was like, why do that? Like, why do that?
You mentioned something very important, and that's why I wanted to talk to her, to give you guys the talking points to be able to go ahead and combat these folks. These divestors, the truth is, can we be honest? They're just running game. Even the white men that they're performing for recognize that they're running game. They're just trying to get them to bring down their guard. And I'm not like those. I'm not like the rest of those black chicks. I love the Confederate flag. I'll cook you an apple pie. Blah, blah, blah. I'm speaking. They're running game. That's all that is. But oftentimes you can run game and then people can use that and hurt your people. You see what I'm saying? Back when we was playing that thug game, yeah, I'm tough. Most of them dudes, even back in the 80s and 90s, they couldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. Some of them even couldn't throw hands, don't even know how to operate a pistol the right way. Couldn't clean one if you asked them to. You see what I'm saying? But they was thugs. And then they took that image and made part of the TV. They took the baby daddy image and made it part of common culture, popular culture. And look what it's done to us. See how dangerous rhetoric can get and how it can have real life consequences. Brandon, you got them young boys that you're coaching out there. They're going to grow up in a world full of divestors who've laid a carpet of destruction before them. What are your thoughts on her rhetoric, and what do we need to do to get this under control?
To be honest with you, Mr. Spurling, I kind of feel like, and I was thinking about this as some of the other brothers were talking, I think that a lot of African American people haven't seen the other side of black intellectualism. And we can, even if when you're black, you could think that all black people are a certain type of way. True. Right? You could think that all black people are a certain type of way. And I think the other brother from Atlanta can attest to this after I say where I'm from. I'm from South DeKalb County. I'm out here in the Lithonia area. Okay? Everybody, I'm black. My mama black. My daddy black. The people across the street that I grew up from is black. Both sides is black. Everybody got a college degree. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not what people think, though. They think we around here in the projects in New York somewhere, in Chicago, shooting each other up. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope. That is not not the case.
Right.
Neighborhood full of Greeks, black Greeks.
Yeah.
People that are involved in the community. And my father, who was an alpha, him and my mom didn't get along. My mama was AKA, they didn't get along. But even then, still,
that's what my kids are gonna say. My kids are gonna say. Oh Lord, that was, yeah. My dad was an alpha, my mom was an AKA, but they don't seem very brotherly and sisterly to me. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
But we know there were other men in the community, man, that stepped up, and when I needed to learn how to tie a tie, my mama sent me across the street.
Right.
And it wasn't like I had to knock on the door. It was like I made a call. Hey, Mr. Hughes, I'm coming over there. My mama need to show me how to tie a tie. Boom, I went over there. My brother went over there. We learned how to tie a tie. There were men in the community, and not just like one or two. I was surrounded by them.
See,
and
the
that
thing is, Brandon, and I'm gonna cut you off. Like, I get it. I understand. Cause see, I came down to Louisiana and I went to Grambling State University. But bro, that was the first time I saw that many black people getting along, being intelligent. That was the first time coming from LA, coming from South Central. I'd never seen that many black people together. Even over at when I lived in Third Ward with my dad, my adopted dad, we lived across the street from TSU over there on Wentworth when I was a little boy. And I knew it was a college. And I knew it was a lot of black people to go there, but it never quite dawned on me that it was a historically black college full of educated black people looking to do well for themselves, typically from good families who wanted their children to do well. It wasn't until I went to the Grambling State University, Southern University football game called the Bayou Classic in 1992, in November 1992, in the Superdome, and I was surrounded by thousands and thousands of black people, educated black people, looking good, dressing good, because it's a fashion show. And then 2 or 3 days of that beforehand, and then the day afterwards, just surrounded by educated black people. That's when my perspective on what blackness is changed. Before that, I was subjected to the stereotypes myself. I wished us well because I grew up in a household where, we was about that blackity black. You see what I'm saying? But it what you got to see it. And so you see it. So, we always talk about our country brothers from Atlanta, not Atlanta, country brothers from Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, but they have a different perspective than the brothers from Chicago. Your family left. You see them? Your people went to Detroit. They went to Oakland and LA. It ain't nothing but despair and destitution there. They went to Ohio. They went to New York. And see, brothers down in Atlanta, no different. Brothers, that's why so many black people are coming back. You could speak on it. You could have a whole podcast dedicated. Look to this is how black people are really living. This 64% of black men in the middle class.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen. It been happened. You got man, look, ride around Atlanta, look at them houses with them beautiful black people out front. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. So of course, this lady right here, she has no excuse. She should know because she grew up in Third Ward. She knows that's not she. If she went anywhere near Texas Southern University, you go there, you got a whole law school, you got sciences, you got doctorate programs there. So you see plenty of young black men walking around there not fulfilling the stereotype. But she chooses to spew this rhetoric. You see what I'm saying? So what do we do? And you kind of hit the point. I think what we need to do is show more of how we really are and not let these Pookies and Ray types and these divesters disparage our reputation. Not for real black men. What are your thoughts on that? And then we're gonna go to Rodcast and back to Project 8020/Alpha. Go ahead, bro.
I think that's what we need to do. And you just gave me an idea. I might just do that because right now I'm sitting in my neighborhood now. It's definitely not the ghetto. I walked a young black man out to his car, to his mother's car, and his mother's driving a Bentley SUV out here.
Yeah, man. And see,
in Atlanta.
The other thing is you got to fight too. And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna fight with the black empowerment crowd, who sells black folks that we're victims and we're poor and we don't have any money, and therefore anybody who associated with money, they must have sold out some kind of way, even though it's your daddy is a plumber. Your daddy went to college and and he's a principal or dean at a local high school, and your mom might have joined the military for 5 years and then she went to school or whatever, or they don't and open their own business. You see what I mean? They don't equate for that, because see, we have to sell our people that we're destitute. We have to tell them that we're poor. Otherwise, they can't scare them. White supremacy is these empowerment group. That's their devil, and they're the whites. They're the savior. They've replaced Jesus and the devil with themselves and white supremacy. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. Only salvation you can get is through me. You see what I'm saying? So, that's what you're gonna deal with. But see, just keep hitting them hit them in the face, hit them with the truth like it's a sledgehammer, and don't hold back. But go ahead.
But I'm gonna tell you, if I just took a ride around here and just got a GoPro and just showed people, like, hey, you see these houses, right? Ain't no bus stops over here. Everybody's black. I got white friends. I bring my white friends over here and they're shocked, right? Because I guess they think
they fall into the same stereotypes, man. That's what I'm trying to say. And like, I don't live like, and like I said, I put MTR, Kevin Samuels, and lead attorney up there. But man, you got Robert F. Smith. You got all these other. We're not just getting our money from singing songs and running with shooting baskets and running with footballs. Like, give us some credit. And another thing, I'm gonna say this also, and another point of personal privilege. Anybody telling you that they got a problem with historically black universities, they just got a problem with themselves. You see what I'm saying? If you want to go to LSU, you want to go to Michigan State, cool, but don't talk about our HBCUs, because they wouldn't let your black behinds in those schools 50, 60 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So let's not talk about the institutions that our ancestors created. Like, you got Dr. What's his name? What's his name trying to build a school? What's his name?
Umar Johnson.
Dude, why are you trying to build a school and we got 160 HBCUs? What are you doing?
Get some of that money together.
Each one of those HBCUs has a high school and a middle school and an elementary school attached to it. They call it, like at Southern, they call it Southern Laboratory School. At Grambling, they call it Grambling Laboratory School. So that means if you want to go institute some reforms, you ain't got to build a school. You're going to build a school from scratch when you got 160 that you can go work with. You see what I'm saying? It just seems to me, God bless them, and hopefully, I mean, we always need more black schools, but at the time when you got schools that are being defunded, why would you try to get funds for a new school when you got all these other ones that you could just go incorporate yourself, become the president of that school and put in what you're going to put in? But it just doesn't make sense to me. That's just my thought. But anyway, man, I don't want to hold you up any. Brandon, go ahead, and then we're going to go to Rodcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, you absolutely right, man. I feel like, especially with the Dr. Umar situation.
Let's not talk bad about our brother. I'm just saying.
No.
If I was talking to him, I'm like, bro, why would you build? I would talk to him brother to brother. Why you building
brother to brother
when you got 160 HBCUs down here that you can go talk to and work with? Why not do that?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that you're gonna do? You're gonna teach them how to read, write, do math, all this stuff. They doing that in all these places.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? You kind of, and even brother Tariq Nasheed, I appreciate him trying to build a museum. But bro, ain't no black people in LA no more. You're building a black museum in LA, and it's only 400,000 black folks in Los Angeles, and that is fading. Like, that needs to be built in Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi. We're not in LA anymore. Hell, they leaving. Look how fast people are depopulating Chicago or Illinois and California. Black folks we out of there. We went and we came back home. It's too cold up there. Even in New York, most of your black folks in New York now, where they from? They ain't from here. They are from the Caribbean. They're from Africa and all them places.
Right.
Black folks been here. We didn't came back to Mississippi, Louisiana. You see what I'm saying? Alabama, Texas. You see what I mean? We not. So if you're gonna build your museum, bro, build it where your people at. I know right now in Houston, Texas, if you go right here off 288, okay, right across the street from Sylvia Soul, not what's the name of that goddamn place? Right down the street from This Is It. You got a Buffalo Soldier Museum. You could go put it right there and say, we already got the building. Come put your stuff in. Let's do the renovations, man. You see what I'm saying? But we are not in LA anymore. You see what I'm saying? Just so it's just something to think about. You understand what I mean? Like, God bless you, and I wish them well. I love them, and I respect both of those men. I really do. I love what they're doing, but it's like, brother, just there's a better use of your time and resource. Because I'm gonna tell you now, it takes millions of dollars to get a school funded, and it takes millions of dollars every year to keep a school going. Most schools are nonprofit for a reason, because they don't make a profit. You understand?
Yeah.
And so unless you got federal funding coming in, then it's gonna fail. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, man, Brandon, let me go to Rodcast. Son of Egypt, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing today, sir? Appreciate
I'm good. You want to cam up? Go ahead. I appreciate if you cam up, because all the other brothers are cammed up. We having a round table. It's just the brothers here. All right, cool. Let's bring you back in. All right. So Rodcast, you up next, man. What are your thoughts, man?
So you said something earlier, which is great. Because you got on me earlier about the beautiful stuff. So we have to be able to, like you said, we have to be able to be students, and we have to be able to listen to each other and learn from each other, So that's why I told you could be hard on me, because I'm always willing to learn, especially from people, who I admire and respect.
Well, I'm gonna give you a couple more times in here. I don't want to be. I'm gonna just focus on Alvin. Alvin and the other brother? That's who I beat up all the time, because they've been here. I don't want to. You're a guest. When you come around.
Right. No, I understand, but I don't mind it at all, brother.
All right.
But so you talked about earlier. Well, your question was, how do we prevent divestors from being able to project their thoughts and stuff upon people? Because
it's dangerous rhetoric. Yeah, but go ahead,
it's dangerous rhetoric. Right. So what I've realized, over my years, and really I had this thought about 4 weeks ago, because we don't have a foundation.
Go ahead and keep talking. Go ahead and I want y'all to take control of this conversation. Go.
Okay. Because we've had our foundation stripped from us, from 400 plus years ago. We don't know where our foundation is now. So what we do is we look for our foundation from other resources, from outside resources. We put too much investment, not put too much investment, but we put too much of our foundation in just having a degree, right? Or just material things, clothing, cars. Even I just had a podcast that I just did, alcohol, or cigarettes. All these outside things that have nothing to do with what is within us, right? With what's inside of us. So we don't even have a base, right? And those of you who understand, of a community, or even understand from a more simple level, building a skyscraper, right? Or building a building. Every building starts with a base, right? Everything starts with a base. Everything starts with a foundation. And we don't have that. So because we don't have a foundation, it is easy for people like, the young lady who's a divestor, or it is easy for other people to infiltrate our quote unquote communities, because I don't really call I don't call it a Black community. I think we have Black sectors. I don't think we have a community, because a community has certain a foundation, has a certain code of conduct, it has certain morals and ethics that you have to follow. And we don't have that on a wide spectrum. We have so many of us who are divided into different sectors, whether it's Democrat, Republican, whether it's by social constructs, whether it's economics, whether it's gender now, and all these different things. So we don't really have a foundation. One of the things that Dr. Claude Anderson talked about was like the 5 floors, right? Those 5 buildings. He calls it Powernomics. There's a book called Powernomics. I don't know if you fellas are familiar with that, but he talks about the 5 floors of building a foundation. One of the floors that he talks about is having our own media. I believe that's the third floor. Forgive me if I don't know all the floors, but basically, we don't control our own media. I think we only control less than 1% of the media that's majority or independently Black owned. People think that, you know, these networks like the Black News Network, I believe with Lamont Hill, that actually just got the axe. They're not even on air anymore, or soon not to be on air anymore. BET, Fox Soul, all these different networks who quote unquote supposed to be Black representation. We don't control those. So we have to be able to I'm almost done. We have to be able to control our own media in order to control the messaging that comes out. Because when someone like her comes out with her rhetoric, we have to be able to counter that with our own rhetoric and our own messaging, which is going to be the true rhetoric, which is not the representation that they want to be shown out there. So I'm done.
Absolutely. One
who
of the
was that
things
wanted to say something?
That's me. I'm gonna jump in real quick because I'm gonna ask you guys some questions because you said something that was very interesting. But one of the things that I say all the time on this channel, we should aggressively push back on the negative rhetoric, and we should do it immediately as soon as we hear it. And I'm working on something myself where, you know, because these ladies have a hit squad out here, right? That's how they get all these channels taken down, so on and so forth. And even though I don't necessarily agree with the strategies that they use, the reality is that we need to start fighting them a little bit dirty too, is the reality. But here's a question I was going to ask you, because, you know, I would like to reset the table, the cultural table, right? Because you talked about it a second ago, the contract, the social contract that we have with each other, the social contract that we have with other members. Tell me something. What would it take? Because, like, say the church isn't here anymore, right? So we can't look for the church. What entity do you think we need to create that would have enough credibility to get young men to be able to say, okay, this is the code, these are the rules, and this is how we stay? What would it take? Do you feel like there's an organization, like, if obviously, say we're going to use the NAACP, whatever.
Yeah.
Because they don't really do much these days. But say, for example, they came out and we say, okay, we're going to set the new standard. Wigs are out, nails are out, baby mamas are out, babies out of wedlock out. Do you think that you could actively adopt that kind of thing, or what kind of organization do you think could get people together? Oh, and that's for the panel.
You want me to start?
Go for it.
Yeah. You go ahead.
Okay. Cool. Y'all waiting for me, huh? I think.
Well, I mean, we can make it
quick.
We can just bounce through because again, we always talk about solutions and so on and so forth. And we've been saying for a long time that the culture is busted. The rules are not being, you know, it's like because I say something again all the time, that there's more of us than there are of them. There's more gentlemen like you guys, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, Black men that just want to be left alone and be successful in our own right. And we're constantly being sucked into the baby mama-ism and the thought-ism and the whatever-ism, when that has nothing to do with our lifestyles. And my question is that we want to actively correct that stuff. And I think that we are doing it even as we speak, right? Having this divester on, us having a conversation about it, hearing in our own words, but we want to reset the table. My question is there an organization that exists right now, or is there one that you can think of that can say, okay, we're going to reset the table?
So that's a good question. I don't necessarily think there is an establishment organization that is going to reset the table, because like Dennis said earlier, they benefit and they profit off of our victimhood. They profit off of us being separated and divided. You know, the feminist movement is a perfect example how they profited, how they used the women's empowerment movement to gain bigger profits and to divide us even more. One organization that I think is doing great, and they're very small, but they're growing, is the X for Boys. I don't know if you're familiar with King Randall in Georgia, in Albany, Georgia. He's been doing what he's been doing for some time, but he focuses more on the young boys because what he discovered was that they were on a like a kindergarten or something reading level. They weren't on grade level reading. So basically they weren't, the teachers were just passing them and not being invested in making sure that these boys were on grade level reading. What I would say is that we have to most likely, and this may not be the correct answer, but I'm just thinking of, just off the top of my brain, starting back with teaching more traditional values again.
And
starting
so
back with
I get that, but I'm saying
Okay.
where though? So is there an organization, and I'm gonna jump up to the brother up top here. What
Okay.
is there an organization that you know of and or heard of that's either doing the type of work that we're talking about, and or do you think that there's even that we would even as a people accept someone to say, hey, guess what? We're gonna go ahead and X these things off the list. Go ahead, brother.
No, I don't think there's an organization that's doing that, and I think there'll be a very small number of people who will invest in that organization.
Got you. And my man up top, can you hear me? Yeah. Come on. Wait. Do you kind of see where I'm coming from, or do you think that there's a an organization that, or do you think that we can course correct as Black people? Is kind of what I'm saying. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry, I don't have your name on the screen, bro, up top. Just put your seatbelt on. Can you hear me? Yeah, go ahead. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, you ain't listening. Well, because here's what I'm and here's where I'm coming from, right?
What'd you say, bro? What are you talking to me?
Yeah. Well,
Go
what
ahead.
I'm trying to say is that we're trying to course correct as men, right? And we're trying to. I would say that the Dennis Spurling wing of the internet or whatever is. I would like to think that we're starting to lay the groundwork for creating strong Black men, maybe what I'd like to call or consider a warrior class of men. And in that warrior class of men, just like in any warrior class of men, in any group of people, there's a set of rules and things to abide by. And I don't think that as Black men or as Black people, we've had the opportunity to set our own rules in this place. And I'm asking you if you know of, and or do you think that us as Black men could find an organization or create an organization that would allow us to set our feet, to reset the culture?
An organization that is specifically built and ran by Black men. Do I know of an organization or this here in Atlanta that is seriously and consistently about that? I mean, you have your. I'm not Greek. I'll say that right off the bat. But you got you got Greek organizations, and every Greek isn't the same, right? But I could tell you this: the men in my life, and my dad is an alpha, but the men in my life were Qs. My band director was a Q, and my swimming coach was a Q. And they did some outstanding things. If you've seen the movie Drumline, I went to the high school that drumline was based off of. I was actually in the drumline, and we was able to do outstanding, great things. But I think the conversation is started, and when you speak of trying to course correct the women, I want to say I think we as Black men are I'm not even gonna say starting to course correct ourselves. I think like Spurling said, I say we've been out here. I think the internet is allowing us to connect, right? I think the internet is allowing us to connect and get to know one another. So then where that organization, though it may not exist right now, I believe with every fiber of my being that it will in the very near future, right? So and I think because we already course correct. To be honest with you,
We're doing
right?
it.
Yeah,
We're
like
doing
I'm taking the things that I learned and I'm teaching it to other young black men. I'm literally doing that, right?
it. Absolutely.
I had a lady that was and I fired her because she would see me doing like extra stuff for the black kids, especially this one boy in particular whose father had had ended up being shot, and he never knew his dad when he was born, and I used to do stuff for him, take him places, teach him stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Why do you do that?" And I was like, "Well, if you asking why I'm doing that, you're part of the wrong organization, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what I'm about." Um, and and we're doing it, man. I mean,
Yes.
because I'm not by myself. It's not like I'm out here coaching swimming and I'm the only young black man out here in Atlanta, in the metro Atlanta area doing this. Like I got
Okay,
friends.
so here's the question. Are we just not talking about the positive stuff, or
That's
is
true.
it that, well, because we don't boast, right? I don't boast. You don't look like,
That's
neither
true.
one of you gentlemen look like the boastful type of men, right? Because that's just not what men do, and I think that that's an interesting thing, coming back to Brother Dennis's showing his kids, and how he's trying to show an example, and why so many black men are offended by it is kind of is, I think, part of the problem. But do you think it's a matter of what do you think is a bigger problem? Us not showing the positive side, or the volume of the rhetoric that's coming from the other side?
Man, I think it is. I want to say it's about half and half, because I was just thinking, because like you say, we don't boast, and I forgot to mention that it's an awesome organization that I'm a part of, and it's real easy to be a part of. I'm a part of an organization here in Atlanta, and actually we're worldwide, called Black Men Run, right? I run marathons, and it's just a healthy brotherhood. You've probably seen it or heard of it, or
I
seen a
train
brother.
people.
Huh?
Yeah, I train people. I used to train people in Black Men Run in New York.
Yeah.
So, yep, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, dude. And I mean, like, and ain't nothing more positive than that. I mean, and then we look out for each other. We are truly a healthy brotherhood, right? And even just getting out and running. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I can call one of my brothers. I do it all the time. I call the Atlanta captain all the time. And he's an older gentleman, about 50 some odd years old. And he mentors me. And a lot of the older guys in the group mentor me. And I love it, man. They got me on the, I'm 42, but I don't know everything. And I'm the first to admit that, I don't know everything. But these brothers, they take me up under their wing, they guide me, and then there's younger brothers who are part of the group. I grab brothers from Morehouse and say, "Hey, man, come over here and run with the guys." And so I think it's that. But the rhetoric is strong,
It
but
is.
but we just don't. Like, how many other black men know about Black Men Run? I don't know. I know we got chapters in every major city for sure, right?
Well, I mean, it's not even just that organization, bro. When I just getting online, and because the only reason why I found this space myself is because so many things didn't make sense to me. So many things. I'm like, does everybody know black people are first class citizens? Do y'all know that you guys are first class citizens? Do you know
Right.
that Bill of Rights applies to you also? And see, the thing of it is that just like what that divester did, and again, I'm circling back just to try to keep it on topic, but she separates white and black, and she not only does she separate white and black, but she even separates herself from black. And she tried to separate Dennis from black. And the reality is that you just can't you can't do that. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm shocked at how so many people don't even realize that they've subconsciously put us at the back of the bus. We've subconsciously put ourselves at the back of the bus. It's hurtful for me to even say that, but we've put ourselves at the back of the bus automatically. Good hair, right? Like the ladies talk about. Perfect example. So my little sister does hair. She does hair and she's into whatever. And we know about our little sisters and our moms and their hair issues, correct? Right? Now,
Yes.
how is it that Black women single-handedly prop up the entire wig market?
Industry. Yep.
Industry, they prop it up, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. So see, y'all Black women single-handedly pump all that money into that economy, and so why don't y'all just wear your hair natural? So I asked my little sister, I'm like, do y'all not know how to take care of your hair? Is that what it is? And she said it takes too much time. And she's like, Black girls don't like to do it because it takes more time. And the thing of it is like, we've on so many levels, we've put ourselves at the bottom. On so many levels, we put ourselves at the bottom by default.
Yeah.
And by default, and we don't demand respect. We don't demand loyalty. We don't demand any of those things like these other groups do. I had a client, I'm a trainer too. I had a client this morning, Jewish guy, and we always kind of back and forth just about how the differences in our communities. And it's like, you can't say anything, about that community without people coming for your neck. Why is it that we allow these people to do us this way? And we do. My question to you is: so, have either of you gentlemen ever dated outside of your race before? Dated white before?
I have.
You have. Now, what was your experience? And I'm gonna come back. What was did you get deep enough into it to experience the family?
Yes, I met the father of the young lady, and I think it was I want to say I think it was a case of this young lady, father, wealthy family, and I think it was a case of this young lady kind of felt like she was slumming. I mean, not knowing where my family was from, she never. Well, actually, her opinion changed when she came and she saw where I was from, and that I actually lived in the house. This is a big house. All these houses are big, and this man actually comes from a good family. Her opinion changed, but what happened was she actually called an African American female friend of mine a ghetto nigger, right?
Wow.
And so that was kind of. Yeah, so that was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And then some more stuff. So yeah, I had to kind of let that go. And it's not like, and I guess that's why I'm not down on the because like you say, we've all had the Queen Mother Goddess simp chip put into us. We have all I guess when you saw, especially because like my mother was is a piece of work. You know what I'm saying? To say the least, right? She did a lot of lying. It is what it is, right? So you grow up, you become a man, and you find out that it wasn't everything that she said it was in terms of her relationship with her and my father, right? So you get upset and you say, "Oh, Black women is Black women that." I've been through that stage where you're angry at Black women or whatever the case may be. But then you start to see that, or I started to see that a lot of Black women, like Dennis was saying, Mrs. Spurling was saying, they've been programmed. They've been programmed. They've been in they're as much of a victim as we are. Just saying that, right? Everybody, if Black men can start to come out of it, then y'all can start to come out of it. But the issue was, and like he was saying, brother, he was like Black men. I think every Black man knows, right? Even that guy that used to be on Fox News all the time, because they came and they got him too. It don't matter how much success that you make, we know. Whether you admit it or not, you ain't gotta say it. What's the guy name? Little slim guy with the glasses. They got him on some stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Used to be on Fox News all the time, and then they got it.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But because you know what, we know that we the first person to get in trouble.
That's right.
We will make an example out of us. They have absolutely no problem throwing the book at us. You know, it's like these police, they get out there, you know, brothers that are police, they get out there and they do what they're their counterparts are doing, and then suddenly somebody gets in trouble and they're the only ones going to jail. It happens over and over and over again. And I think what's happening too is the lovely ladies are starting to understand that, yo, you still black. Like, you still black. You're a woman, but you still black. And once there ain't no black men to beat up on anymore, you're the next target.
That hurts
And
them a little bit, though.
and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the streets. We're seeing it. These cops are not pulling any punches on these ladies, man. I saw a video the other day. This dude, man, this cop beat this black woman like she must have slapped his mom or something, because it was like he went from zero to hero in no time flat. And I think that, you know, the lovely ladies think that, again, just because they're female, that the rules don't apply to them, and they're finding out real quick. And again, that's another reason why this whole divester thing is short-sighted. Not impossible, but short-sighted. Go ahead.
They've been successfully assimilated. They've been successfully assimilated, and they like not. I mean, a lot of them, they do. They like not needing us. They like, and what's up?
Do they? Because I would imagine there's got to be some like deep down turmoil, right? Like there's gotta be. I can't see an African American person being mistreated ever anywhere and not feel something in my heart and soul. I have a hard time believing that some of these women are calling for the types of things that they're calling for with us, and it not affecting them at all. And I mean, clearly, like, the proof is in the pudding. So obviously they don't. But
then let me correct that. I think they don't. It's not that they like not needing us. I think they like power.
Yeah.
Right. They like the power.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They like. Yeah. I think that's more what it is.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, they because, well, before I say that, I actually listened to the Willie Lynch letter yesterday. And how this goes back to the 1700s of when they systematically, you know, when the slave owners were having a hard time with their slaves, and they called Willie Lynch to figure out how they can easily control the slaves. And he had a 6-point system of how to control the slaves. And the system was basically not having the women not trust their men. And what they did was they took the biggest, strongest black slave, and they beat him until he was inches of he was about to die. And they basically used that as a symbol to where now the women thought of themselves as independent from their men, and they raised the boys to be dependent upon the women, making them soft. So it actually goes back. And I didn't notice, I knew about the Willie Lynch letter, but I didn't know that, you know, feminism is actually from a product of the Willie Lynch letter, and how they made their black women not trust black men anymore, to the point where they completely feel separated from us. And the government is basically the slave owner. You know, is basically the establishment. And like you just said, brother, the power that they've gotten, and this, let me not virtual signal because y'all got on me earlier, the power that they've gotten from, you know, the feminism movement, and from, you know, being able to now basically dictate, into some sense, dictate the market, because they're 80% of the market. They don't want to give that up. And I'm not talking about the women who are conscious of it and understand this perspective. I'm talking about the women who, like you said, they don't want to give up that power, and they'll do anything it takes to, you know, keep that power, even if it means degrading their black men. And it's unfortunate.
And their sons.
Yes.
And their sons. And now I'll tell you this. And I work with kids. Not only do I have my own swim team, but I work in the high schools, right? I coach track too as well. I see women that in particular, it was just one kid. I guess his mom didn't have a lot of money or whatever the case may be. But I'm the type of guy, I'm like, man, don't worry about the money. Bring it. Just bring it. Right? Anything he needs, I'll take care of it. Right? It's a write off anyway. Right? Why I'm not gonna help it, right?
Yeah.
And the auntie was how I kind of met the family. The auntie who was tutoring them, she was trying to. So I guess that's the tale of two black women, right? But the one that was on that BS was the mom, right? The auntie is tutoring the young fella, trying to bring him along or whatever. But the mom is letting him do anything he wants to, and at the same time buying him Jordans, letting him go. His grades are terrible, but you letting him go to Orlando, Florida, and do such and such and such. If my grades weren't right, regardless of what, if I grade, even my mom, I couldn't do nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Right.
Nothing.
And you have, and what's different, and I even told my mom this. I said what's different between my mom and some of these other women. And what I'm seeing is, as I get out here and I try to serve the community, helping the youth, teach them something, is that my mom and the other single women that were in the neighborhood, number one is more of them now. And then number two, my mom had no problem deferring when it came to me and my brother in a lot of situations, not all. Right, she was still on that strong black woman stuff. That's why my pops couldn't work it out. But she deferred to a lot of black men in the neighborhood, and these women now are not readily deferring, right? To where it makes it difficult for me to do what they say black men never do. Why don't y'all do this? Why don't y'all do that? But when we come and we try to do it, it's like they fight us on it, because they're still, when they see the young man following, what I'm saying, another man, they feel as if they're losing some of that power, right? They feel as if they're losing some of that power, so then they fight against it and they buck against it, and it's to the point now. Well, I'll be honest with you, me, personally, I'm growing tired of fighting. When all I'm trying to do is pay it forward, right? Because I had black men. I'm telling you right now. It was times in my life where I knew if I didn't hear them voices of those black men in my ear, sitting on my shoulder, right, being my conscience, I would have died. And I can, and that is the absolute truth. I can tell you now, or even my dad, right? Because my dad, who was a police officer, right? I remember him telling me, like, look, son, you need to know when to leave the party, right? You need to know when to go, right? You need to know when to leave the party. If you see something, if it feels strange, you don't need to stay around and figure out what's going on. Get up and leave, right? And I did that one day, and just as sure as I got, and I just walked down to the bus stop. As sure as it was like 30 or 45 minutes later, there go the sirens, right? The next day, I get to class, and people talking about, man, such and such, they got shot and all this, that, whatever happened. But it was those instances, those men, right, on my shoulder, who kept me alive as I navigated, this thing as a black man through life. So well, go ahead.
No,
I'm
just
sorry. I have to run. All right. So it was great building with y'all and talking to you. So thank you so much for having me.
Do me a favor. Put your email address in the back chat, and then if you have any last words before you bounce out, feel free. Any closing words.
Thank you. I'm gonna put my email right now. I'm going to be in Georgia in 2 weeks, brother. What's your name, brother, from Georgia?
Brandon Stallings. Brandon Stallings.
All right, Rodney. And what's your name, brother?
Alvin.
Alvin, got it.
Yeah.
Brandon and Alvin, got it. So my final thoughts is that, one reason why I moved to Florida is because I wanted to change my network. I wanted to, create a second life for myself, you could say, right? I wanted to reinvent myself. And one of the things I really wanted to do, I wanted start talking to more brothers and building with more like-minded brothers and stuff. You know, my political views have changed. My worldview outlook has changed, and I wanted to align myself with a lot of the people who feel the same way I do. We do have a problem with what is going on, but because a lot of Black men are now waking up to what has been happening over the years, and like Brandon said, because of social media, now we've been able to get our voices out there and let it be heard. And it's a shock to a lot of women to hear some of the things that we're saying and some of the concerns, and they've been so used to not listening to us. You know, I think it's taking a long time to penetrate their subconscious. But I think with, you know, just with us continuing to build and us continuing to show that there are positive Black brothers out there who are doing the work, and we're not just sitting on the sidelines just talking bullshit. You know, we're actually putting in the work to not only improve ourselves, but we're putting in the work to help improve and restore our communities. I think we'll get somewhere, you know, and it's going to take a long time. Again, we've been, you know, our foundation has been stripped from us for centuries. So it's not going to happen overnight, but if we continue to, you know, build with each other and we set a foundation, you know, we'll get somewhere. We'll set us up for the next generation. Cause now that's what I'm thinking about. I'll be 37 in 2 months. I'm thinking about the next generation. I know my time is, you know, short-lived. Our time is short-lived. I still got a lot of life to live, but you know, thinking about the next generation and stuff, because they're going for our kids. You know, they're going for our kids because they know if they can indoctrinate our kids, then they know that they'll be able to control the next generation. And we can't have another generation, you know, of basically bullshit, you know, and not have, you know, not progress in the way we need to. So thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm going to copy and paste your emails now.
Yeah. So good stuff, man. Thank you so much for coming through, and appreciate your insight. And come back anytime. I know Dennis probably had to run, but feel free to like come back, jump in the conversation anytime. We do this a lot.
Okay, no doubt. Thank you again.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I get your emails before I go.
There you go. It's in the back. It's in the back chat, private chat. So it's Brandon, right?
Yes.
So Brandon, what was the biggest thing? What was your biggest takeaway from the divester conversation? Did you know? Was there anything just glaringly? What was the thing that just kind of was there anything in particular just sent you off the like?
I think the fact that she has to put it on Front Street. That is what. Yeah, that's what really stood out to me is the fact that she had to put it on Front Street, and the fact that she came in and, you know, I'm not dating Black men and such and such and such, and that's fine. I know brothers who say they don't date Black women, but the fact that she did it, and when she would do it and she would insult, you know, like, I don't date Black men because boom, 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 boom. And then she would use that to insult. Because I'll be the first to say that, you know, all of the sisters or the lovely ladies, shout out to Mr. Spurling, they're not perfect, but I know some outstanding Black women. I do. I know some. I do. I personally know some outstanding Black women. And I, as a man, like I was saying, I have no problem deferring to anyone when they know more about a subject than me. And as a matter of fact, one of the Black women I'm speaking of was the head coach at the All-Star camp. And she coached me. And I love her to death, you know. And I take her advice. I call her and I ask for advice, and not just on. And she guides me as a coach. You know what I'm saying? She went to the Olympic trials and the whole nine. I mean, so it's the fact that she had to, and that made me. I don't want to say feel sorry for her, but it's kind of like, okay, all right, I understand. There's some pain somewhere in there, right? When you have to insult someone, right? There's some pain somewhere.
Absolutely. Because like I said,
go ahead.
I was lucky. I was fortunate enough to be here when she jumped on at first. And And again, the question that I asked to her that I couldn't, and you know, and Dennis is a G for not he let her talk, and I saw he trapped her a couple times, and he let her tell on herself a couple times, which is what was necessary, was needed. I don't think that I'm a skilled enough interviewer or a person at all to be able to get that out of somebody. So that took skill, and I hope everybody that was watching that, because I know a lot of people probably went snap judgments and they start to go to the text.
Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Spurling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds.